What is going on, everyone out there in our social media following on TikTok, on Instagram, on Facebook, Twitter, X, I guess now. Still trying to learn the X instead of Twitter, YouTube, and even podcasts as well. Thank you guys so much for joining in with the off season. We've been taking a couple of weeks off here and there, which, it's kind of been not so noisy of an off season. But we're probably about 5 weeks away, 4 weeks away maybe from the start of the NBA. I haven't really paid attention of the week since we kind of taken a couple off. Since we've been breaking down, it's what we started at 10. I think we broke down 3, so that's 7. So we're probably about 5 week mark, I guess. I'd have to make sure to double check on that, so don't hold me to it. But, Nick, CJ, how you guys been doing?
Doing fantastic, man. I'm excited, man. This is a really good time in the year, man. Football season's kicking off. Shout out to the Knowles. We're 4-0 right now. And then on top of that, NBA's about to start. We're about to kick things off the show here in college, man. This is fourth quarter time of the year is always the best time of the year, man. So I'm glad to be here with y'all brothers, man.
Yes, sir, man. It's definitely a good week, solid week for me. We missed last week, but we got a lot to talk about. Finish up these talking about these divisions, breaking down these teams. About a month away from the season opener in the NBA. So, yeah, man, we're gonna really lock in these 4 weeks and get these previews out for you guys. So, yeah, it's been good. My week was good. My birthday was on Wednesday.
Hey, happy birthday! Why didn't you tell us?
I mean, I'm not that, I'm not that kind of guy. You know what I mean? I just let it rock out. But
so your birthday was on the 20th.
Yeah, the 20th. Yes.
Okay, my youngest daughter's was the 19th, so I'll try to remember that next year.
That's clutch. Yes, sir. Yeah.
Right now, I have 3 6-year-olds for 25 days.
That's insane.
Man.
Sorry. Tell us about your birthday. What'd you do?
No, it was calm. It was calm, man. Chilled with some fam. Chilled with my girl, just some good eats, calm vibes, big 2-9. So, just a chill vibe. And glad I got to spend it with people I care about.
Sounds good. Well, actually, yesterday we celebrated my daughter's birthday, but we went ahead and because, like I said, 25 days, and then it's my other two's birthday, the twins. So we actually just celebrated their birthday party yesterday, and all 3 of them, I have 2 daughters and a son, and they actually agreed with having a Mario-themed birthday party. So that went well. Had some Princess Peach, Mario, Yoshi eggs. Excuse me. So it was an eventful day yesterday celebrating all that. One thing I'm very thankful about with my kids is, we don't really go completely out buying these presents and everything. Like our present we've got our 3 kids were 3 scooters. It's nothing that's crazy big where we're spending hundreds of dollars and all this stuff. And honestly, my wife and one of her friends, probably they're best friends with each other. They buy practical gifts for each other for any kind of birthdays, each back and forth, even for themselves, like, cleaning utensils and stuff for the house, something that you're actually going to use. Well, it was a tote full of snacks, candies, all of my kids' favorite stuff. And my oldest daughter pulled up like some little Debbie cakes and was holding them up in the air and like had the biggest smile on that gift. So I'm thankful that my kids are happy with the little things in life and not worried about having to have the iPads and the whole 9 yards of that, which, again, I have 3 6-year-olds and we don't even have an iPad for our kids or an iPhone or anything like that. Like electronics is just a switch, and we try to keep that time to a minimum on there. So it was fun spending the day with them, having family around. Just happy to celebrate that. Now I'm ready for them to get back to school and go back to work and have some time away from them. Whew. But it was a fun week to celebrate the birthdays on that. But guys, before we jump into NBA, we of course want to give the shout out to our great partners with the SeatGeek as it scrolls across the bottom there. Guys, if you're going to any kind of event, guys and women, of course, use that promo code MNCHOOPS to save $20 off your very first purchase on SeatGeek. Go to SeatGeek.com, make your purchase to any event, buy your ticket, and get $20 off of that using the promo code MNCHOOPS for your very first purchase. So, with that being said, looks like we've got a comment coming in. Oh, of course, it's my wife probably. Man, do they love the Switch. Busy but fun. Yeah, we did get the Mario 3D world, and let me tell you, that's hard. And playing it with 6-year-olds makes it even harder to try to actually move on past the level. But, anyways. So let's go ahead and jump into our very first topic here. Of course, the offseason has been all about Miami and Portland Trailblazers and what's going on there. But that has died down a tad bit. And now we've jumped into, boil it back up some. But recent reports, the Bulls and Raptors may be interested in Dame Lillard. CJ, I'm sure you've got a graphic that you're about to pull up. I love that you take the ownership of that. And let's see what we got here. Oh, right on cue with that. Boom, perfect.
Sure, right on cue. So this is from Jake L. Fisher. I believe he's with the Athletic. Yahoo actually says it there at the bottom. This is a quote. He says, "At this juncture, Toronto and Chicago have been two possible destinations for Lillard, most discussed by league figures, while a collection of NBA personnel accept Portland to engage Miami before finalizing something with another suitor. The Heat have not factored primarily in the Blazers' recent dialogue surrounding Lillard," the league sources said. So, I think this is interesting because I think, obviously for so long we've done a lot of shows, and it just seems like it's going to be Miami. Really been talking about Miami and Dame since like the NBA Finals, since June. Here we are, almost in October, and nothing's circulated, nothing's been finalized, like the quote said. So I think it's smart for some other teams to kind of put their name in the hat and try to see if it's a possible destination that Dame would like to go to. Start with Michael here, man. Obviously, big Heat fan. What's your thoughts on this?
I'll mute.
Muted, brother.
Sorry, I turned my TV because on the screen I can't see it, so I actually play it on the TV so I can see it a little bit better. Sorry about that. I didn't want to hear my squeaking over the chair, but it's making me a bit nervous that this Miami Heat trade hasn't went through, because I think we even talked about it during the Eastern Conference Finals. When I even think I said, if Boston somehow wins this Game 7, it's a win-win still, because now we know we're getting Dame. If we don't win the finals, we're still getting Dame. Like, it was almost a win-win for the Miami Heat during that conversation where it was a done deal. So the longer this takes, the more ammunition, I guess, these other teams, I think, will have. The Raptors, unfortunately, I think, as a Miami Heat fan, have more of a younger core that they could possibly make a push, centering the trade around OG on that, possibly making a better trade offer than what they wanting with Tyler Hero, because Portland apparently does not want Tyler Hero at all. So I would say I'm more afraid of the Raptors trade. I can see the Bulls wanting Dame because, who knows when Ball is actually going to be playing back, because, he can't even stand up out of a chair. I'm playing guys that was from the summer on that. So I can see the urgency from the Bulls on that, but I don't know if the Bulls have anything that they can really make much of a firepower of a trade, unless you're giving a top-tier player in that with a can't even think of his name. I see his face. Played who's her star? Not DeRozan, but the other one.
Talk about LaVine.
Zach LaVine?
Yeah.
LaVine, yeah. But that doesn't make sense to be trading LaVine because you're trying to build that dynasty with him, I feel. But I just don't think the Bulls have much of a younger core that they can make a trade caliber deal package with Portland to get Dame. Now, also, I will say this. It's interesting, but the 76ers, per Bleacher Report, has said that they have checked in, and that was, quote, checked in, that they would at least think it would be interesting to have Dame on that team. The reason why I even bring that up, just because, James Harden is going to be out of there, if it all makes sense, in my opinion. If somehow you can make a trade with the Portland Trailblazers and say James Harden buy out right away, and then then he could go to LA, something with that manipulation going on with the deal, I can see it happen, because then that would move Philadelphia into a top tier team with that. But still, I don't see Portland making a trade where they get James Harden to just let him go. Like they're going to be wanting Maxey or someone like that they can build with their young guys. So I don't know. There's been so much talk. Just scrolling through Bleacher Report right now is very interesting, because even the Suns are a team that's popping up. Not so much, don't hold up, not so much of trading for Dame, but being in that trade. We all know that Ayton is almost the guy that's standing out with that the team that they have. It used to be a 3-headed monster, a 4-headed monster, and now Ayton is just really the pimple on the back of the neck of all 3 of the monsters. So who knows? They're trying to
back of the neck is crazy.
Sorry, things just popped in my head. So there's rumors going on that the Suns or that the Trailblazers are very interested in Ayton, and I personally would love the fact that Dame could end up going to Miami. Tyler Hero, this is me throwing this out here, could end up a Sun with Booker and Ayton out because Nurkic, Hero would have to go somewhere. Ayton would be a Portland. Jokic, I said that right? Yeah.
Nurkic.
There we go. And Ayton would probably be in Portland. Nurkic and Hero would be in the Suns. Lillard, the Heat. Of course, Portland would get a bunch of picks in that. So, if this were
sounded like
happen,
2K right there, man.
If this were to happen, the Suns would replenish that bench and that depth that everyone was wondering how in the world they were going to do that. I'm just going to say that part of it. It's a lot of ifs.
Yeah, that's a lot of That's a lot of ifs, man. Nick, what's your thoughts, brother?
Damian Lillard is 33 years old. Like, none of this makes any sense to me. It's like, I get it. You know, like, Toronto is a team that has a lot of potential. You talk about the combination of guys like Scotty Barnes. I don't know what the future may look like for a player like Pascal in his future regarding as far as being in Toronto. To me, I think if Dame's going to win out, he's got to be in a position to win. Like, I don't think that he needs to go to another team that is possibly, you know, they're in rebuild more or like 2-3 years out of really being legitimate playoff contenders. So if this is the options that they have for him, which is Chicago or Toronto, I'll just stay in Portland. You know what I'm saying? I mean, and look, I know Portland's kind of in rebuild mode too, but I think to me, they kind of have a better team than those other teams. You know, no disrespect whatsoever. I think, and plus, I mean, it seems like to me, if it's not Portland, it seems like he really wants to go to Miami. Because, I mean, I want to say, I even saw a quote that said that even if he does get traded to like any of these two teams, he's still going to want to find a way to get to Miami. So, in my opinion, if I'm Portland, I'm not even going to waste my time as far as, you know, trading him there. Or if I'm even any of these other teams, I'm not going to waste my time. I'm not going to waste my time getting rid of my young assets to trade for him just for him to want out midway through the season or even after this year. Just basically a pit stop. So, in my opinion, Miami's still on the list. I don't know how they're going to be able to get it done. You know, I mean, of course, Hero has to be in that conversation. And you might have to bring in a third team. I'm not sure. But to me, I'll be real, if it's not Miami, I'll say for Dame, just go ahead and just gut it out in Portland, which honestly, I mean, looking at it right now, he might have to play this year in Portland, which is really not bad. I would love to see how him and Scoot could possibly work in the backcourt, if that is a possibility. But Chicago and Toronto, no disrespect, but I just don't see that really being something that could possibly happen for Dame. And if it does, it's not going to last long.
Yeah, it's an interesting dynamic. I think, again, as I said before, this, you know, Dame put himself in this predicament. He put himself in this situation where, I mean, I get it. You know, you kind of want to do everything possible to stay with the team that you were drafted to. Had a lot of success. A lot of people didn't think you'd be this type of player coming out of Weber State. You know the great story that he's had. But it just comes to a time you have to know when it's time. And unfortunately, I feel like he took too long. And you can't just come out and say, I'm going to Miami and that's it. Just doesn't work like that in the NBA. Now, it may work like that in the real world. You know, you can leave a job and go where you want to go. But when things are collectively bargained and you got other teams factoring in other owners like saying, wait a minute, like what's going on here? Is it just going to be this easy? Just going to send him to where he wants to go? There's other discussions that need to be had in regards to that. You look at these two teams that's in this report by Jake Fisher. I think the Bulls is a better situation if you want to kind of create a big three, similar to like what Miami's trying to create with Bam and Jimmy. I feel like it would complement those guys as well. Obviously, DeMar is more of a mid-range guy, so you know he would still be able to have that ability to create his shot in that area. Levine's more of a 3-level scorer. He can do a little bit of both, but he's also more in the mid-range as well. So having a guy like Lillard, having a point guard like Michael said, something that they've been missing with the absence and the injury of Lonzo Ball. It's a good move. It would be a good move for the Bulls. What would they be able to give up? I think Patrick Williams would be a piece. Kobe White, person that they brought back, would be another piece there. Maybe Jalen Terry, some of those other guys that they have there, those young players that you would hope that would develop for the Bulls this season may have to be dealt. But I like that the Bulls are kind of being discussed in this because it's like, man, you got two guys that average over 25. Vucevic averages around 20, 18 to 20, say 17, 18 range. It's like, you don't want to waste that. You want to be aggressive and try to see what you could do there and try to make the proper moves to try to win and then contend. Because this is a parity driven league. And it's a beautiful thing. We haven't been able to say that over the last 4 or 5 years ago. That wasn't really a statement that you could say in the NBA, but now you can say it. It's there. So one team, a team is 1 or 2 moves away from really contending from a championship. You look at the Nuggets, bringing in Aaron Gordon was a big pickup. Now, it was a year early because Murray was out, but we saw the impact that he had. Bruce Brown, impact that he had when they brought him in the offseason. So just when you have the type of league that we're in now, where it's very competitive and there's no clear-cut favorite every single season, a team like Chicago, maybe even Toronto, obviously Masai Ujiri, Pascal Siakam, those guys have tasted, the mountaintop before and winning a championship. So they know what it takes. They know what it takes when you bring in one piece, when they brought in Kawhi and buy a trade for DeRozan. And, that move helped them win a championship. So Toronto, Scotty, that would probably be the guy that would be moved. And then you got Scoot, Anthony Simon, Shaden Sharp, and Scotty Barnes. That's a pretty nice, young core. If you're a Portland Trailblazer fan, for sure. Chauncey Billups coaching that team, old school guy with new school schemes. So I think that'd be a good fit. But I think if they want to win now, I think for a team that wants to win now, Chicago makes the most sense. You mentioned Phoenix. Some other teams want to get involved. I think Phoenix is smart. What have we talked about? What have we talked about with Phoenix, even with the acquisition of a guy like Bradley Beal? Depth. And that's what they need. So if they're able to, usurp themselves in this trade package and get a piece that could come off the bench and contribute for them, I think that's a great move. I think that's a great move for them. Great move for James Jones, being the head guy there and making the basketball decisions for the Phoenix Suns. To say, hey, listen, we'll oblige. We'll be here if need be, whether it's a second round pick, whatever it is. We're here for that, just to make a move because they do need depth, and they do have 3 guys that have been injured. Their 3 top guys are guys that have been injured over the last 2 seasons, missed some games throughout the regular season. So you need those type of players to fill in those spot minutes if need be. So I like that Phoenix is not just, just being complacent. They're being aggressive. They're saying, hey, at least we're here for the conversation. If need be, Utah saw as well. Another team in there that I think needs to be aggressive as well. They have some nice pieces, but they're still missing a big piece. I think, that could be at the guard position as well. So it's going to be an interesting dynamic because Miami's mindset is we were into the finals without you. So, if we have you, great. If we don't, we can still win. So they're not really desperate. And then Trailblazers okay, we're not desperate to move them because nobody else is really coming out and saying that they want them. So, there's really this tug of war stalemate right now between the Trailblazers and the Miami Heat. Obviously, Miami has the cachet, and then you got a young front office in Portland that doesn't want to get, quote unquote, fleeced or, out maneuvered by, a Hall of Fame executive and Pat Riley. So it's interesting. I didn't think we'd be here this long. I really thought we'd get here before. I said that before training camp, and then we're 2 weeks away from training camp. So it doesn't look like anything is going to be dealt by then or done by then. I think all three parties, Lillard, Miami, and Portland, really have to come together. I mean, if they really want to make this deal done, they really have to come together. Portland feels like Miami doesn't have the assets that's enticing for them to be able to move their superstar player. I mean, when you look at it, I would have to agree. Because they got rid of the two guys, their backcourt that contributed so much for them in the offseason. Now, if they were able to keep those guys or those guys were already on contract prior to the offseason, then maybe, you could probably get a Strus or someone like that, and maybe that deal wouldn't look as crazy. But when you're just looking at Jokic, you should say that again?
Especially if they were cheap, on the contract.
Exactly. Because bringing a guy like Strus and Vincent, having those guys come off the bench, veteran guys, or whatever it needs to be for a Trailblazer team or for a third or fourth party, would be enticing to make a 3-team, 4-team type deal. And I do ultimately feel like that's going to have to be the case because, again, Miami doesn't have, outside of Tyler Hero, really, Tyler Hero's the only guard there. But again, as we said earlier in past episodes, they already have two guards they're trying to develop and grow. So it doesn't make any sense for them to have him there as he's trying to develop and grow as a player. So in conclusion, I just think that it's just, to me now, the real question is who's going to be the other team or teams that puts themselves in this Damian Lillard trade conversation, because that's the only way that they're going to get a deal done.
And let's kind of use that for a transition too, because if Miami is a trade option on this, the trade destination, we know that Tyler Hero is the piece. It may not be the most flattering piece for Portland Trail Blazers, but it's the most flattering piece that they have that Miami has to offer. Now, Portland has made it known that they are not very interested in them, but there are some teams that are kind of popping up now that are interested in Tyler Hero. And so, a player as well that we are going to be mentioned here is Buddy Hield is also possibly on the move during this offseason. So let's go ahead and talk about what may be some good locations for them, or what kind of talks have you all been hearing on these two players? Because, Pacers, also another team that's always been wanting Ayton as well. Not saying that that's going to happen. Maybe a Hield for Ayton with some other aspects as well there, but just players and teams that have been talking about these players as well. So, CJ, we'll start with you as you're pulling up the graphic here. Where do you think both players may end up, or what are they on the move, I guess?
So this is, again, as reported by Jake Fisher. I mean, this is a busy guy right now. He says that the Jazz, Bulls, Hornets, and Nets are teams expected to show interest in Tyler Hero. And he says, this is a quote, if Portland ultimately does business with Miami, the Jazz, as well as the Bulls, Hornets, and Nets, are considered a team interested in landing Tyler Hero from the Heat, sources said. Again, it really just goes back to what I just said. And you look at these teams really outside of Charlotte, who's in a that's a whole, you could do a whole episode on the state of the Charlotte Hornets right now. I don't know if you guys see what's going on. I'm sure you guys see at least a little bit, but those other teams,
going on for years, bro.
Yeah, so I'm saying, we could do a whole episode. This was the timeline on that franchise is insane. But Jazz, Bulls, and Brooklyn, yeah, they could definitely use Tyler Hero for sure. I think the Nets could use him. Bulls, he'd be right. He fit right perfectly. I mean, you have to be more of a playmaker, right? I mean, because you already have two dynamic scorers on the perimeter. But he could come in and at least get you 18, 19. And he's going to have to do a little bit more on the playmaking side, to kind of really be a point guard. But the Jazz, now that Clarkson is a starter, they need kind of a spark plug coming off the bench. He could come off the bench for a team like that. Ultimately, what does he want to do? I mean, I think he just probably want to play on a team that wants to win, because that's what he's been on since he's been drafted. So, yeah, I mean, I'm sure he wants to win and play. And I'd say I think the Nets could be interesting. They could be interesting because Dinwiddie is a good player. He's not a great floor spacer. He's a really good playmaker, solid defender, streaky shooter. I think there could be times throughout games where he may not finish games because he's not the best free throw shooter. So someone like Carroll could come in. He has the hot hand during games. There could be times where he could close games with Simmons and Bridges and Johnson and DFS and Clarkson. So it's a nice spot. It's a nice spot. We talked about the Atlantic Division a couple of weeks ago. You had a 6-man a year and Tyler Hero. That's a big move. That's a big move for them.
But who would they have to lose to get him real quick though? Because I mean they'd have to trade somebody.
I mean, it probably maybe Cam Thomas finally gets his wish and goes somewhere else where he feels like he got opportunity to play. Dorian Finney-Smith could be a piece. I mean, obviously he's a guy 3 and D wing, could guard multiple positions. It just really comes down to what Sean Marks feels like he needs to give up to get a an offensive spark and someone like Hero. But in terms of the asset, and they do have assets. Remember I believe they got a couple draft picks. They got some draft picks from Kyrie and KD. So that seems like the best team for me when you look at a collection of everything in terms of what they need, what they have. I think the Nets would be a really good spot for someone like Tyler Hero.
As far as for Hero, I mean, he's been on the trade market for years now, and it's just absolutely insane to me. But I'll be real. I mean, if Hero is traded away, then I'll say this, man: goodbye to Damian in Miami, because I mean that was really one of their only true assets that they could possibly give away. But I think Brooklyn's a nice move.
Why though?
What do you mean why? So like Damian in Miami?
Why couldn't it be? Yeah, but this is what we were saying. We were saying like to be a team or 14 there that could put themselves in a position where, like, yes, Miami would lose Hero, but they'd still be able to get Dame because a third team would be able to take Hero. So like, would it really be like? What is that really the end? Like, I want to get your thoughts on that.
I mean, I guess not. I mean, my thing is okay. So basically, what it's saying is that Portland would be involved. Is that what they're saying? Like, if there is a Hero trade in this scenario?
Right. Okay. This report is kind of saying like, these teams
that's my bad.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Okay, yeah, that's my bad. I thought they were saying just basically Tyler Hero going anywhere else. I mean, of course, if there is a 3-team trade, then yeah, I mean that could definitely happen. The Nets are interesting. When you talk about the combination of Mikal Bridges, who was on the rise as an all-star caliber player, Cam Johnson. I don't know what the future is for Ben Simmons. You know what I'm saying? Like, if he's able to come back. But I think if you add Hero to that second unit, I think that definitely brings a lot of energy, off the bench, especially as a dynamic scorer that he has shown to be over the past few years. So I like that move. I'm not even really want to talk about Charlotte, to be honest. Utah's an interesting one. Utah's really interesting because they're a young team that's on the rising. Hero's still relatively young. He's like 24, 25 years old. So I think that he could possibly blend in with that team when you talk about the combinations of Larry Markin, and they just got John Collins in a trade. So I would love to see what that front court is going to look like with them. And then on top of that, you got Walker Kessler, you got Colin Sexton, Jordan Clarkson still on the team. He's probably the veteran for that team. So Utah, I mean, if you do add another, because I feel like that may be what they're missing is just another dynamic scorer for Utah. Is a guy like up Hero's caliber who can put the ball in the basket. Not saying that they don't have any offensive weapons, but I don't know if anybody else besides like Larry Markkinen can really. I mean, and like Larry Markkinen and Jordan Clarkson possibly fills in their role as far as like a legitimate offensive weapon. So if you do add a guy like Hero, I wonder how that would be though. So like, would you keep Jordan Clarkson coming off the bench, because I mean that's really been his role with the team since he got there? Would you put Hero in the starting lineup at the 2? Maybe I don't.
Well, Clarkson's a starter.
Is he a starter now? I thought he was coming off the bench for the longest.
Yeah, I believe he started a lot last year. I know it was like a mixed match, but yeah, he was in the starting lineup.
Okay, I mean, I know over the years he has been their 6th man. So
right. I think So it would be. I mean, we'll get into Utah in a little bit because obviously they're in the Northwest, but scenario wise, hypothetically, it would be Clarkson, Hero. I'm blanking on maybe probably Marketer probably move back to be the three. Collins.
I think that makes sense, yeah.
And then, whether if they want to go 5 out, they could put Olynyk, and then if they want to go traditional, they could go Kessler. So I mean, hey, that's not
a bad start.
Yeah, it's not bad. It's not
really not.
Will Hardy being offensive.
I mean, it may not provide a lot of spacing, especially in the front court, because like you mentioned, I mean, Walker Kessler is a traditional center. He's not a guy that's going to be out here taking threes and everything, but he provides defense. So I think that's definitely needed for a team like this. But Utah is not a bad move. I mean, they're a young team that's on the rise as of recent. I thought they had a really solid year last year. I know that they didn't make the play-in or anything, but for their progression to see where the team is going, I think that's just really good. So if you add a guy like Hero who has the playoff experience, he's been to an NBA Finals. I know that he didn't play this year in the playoffs, but still being able to come back and possibly make the impact, I think that'll be good. And then Chicago could be another move as well. I mean, you may have to get rid of. I mean, it's like you mentioned earlier, like guys like Kobe White or any of those other guys. I think that could possibly be a good move as well. I think Chicago's problems are way bigger anyway, so it's like, if you do get a guy like Hero, I mean, it's cool, but I don't think it really elevates their chances, like, as far as really being true, like legitimate playoff contenders. That's just me personally, but I mean, I think either way it goes, you know what I'm saying? If the Heat are really, really aggressive at getting Damian Lillard, which they should be, I think Hero's got to go. And I mean, and it sucks because Hero's been there. He's had great moments in Miami, but I mean, you look at it, man. You got rid of. I mean, Gabe Vincent's in LA now. Max Strus is in Cleveland now. Like, Victor Oladipo is, I think, with OKC now. So it's like a lot of the great assets that they had from a year ago, they're no longer there. I mean, only other guys that you have is Caleb Martin. So there's not really a lot of great assets as far as your supporting cast. So, it's
nobody wants Duncan Robinson. I mean, I know the season, he was nobody, but the playoffs. Like
the playoffs, he's good, but I mean, I think it's because he's probably a liability on defense.
He could get
that kind of plays a role.
He used to be a little bit of the defensive guy, though. That's what's weird. Like once his game went away, like his 3-and-D kind of was nothing of anything, and now he came back and was a little more of a 3 guy this season, I guess, or last season. But the defense wasn't ever talked about, so I don't know if he's just losing steps there or whatnot, but. I just kind of want to know what you guys feel on that because most people are saying exactly what you are saying.
But I mean, but it's like between him and Tyler Hero. I mean, who you gonna want?
Well, of course, but why wouldn't you want both if you're giving up Dame? Like, I mean, I would want Martin, Robinson, and Hero with a pick. I mean, I'm going to try to get everything you want if you're Miami and you really want this guy.
Then
but everything I'm hearing is just Jokic and Hero and picks, but they don't want Hero. So that's what's stopping the whole thing. So,
but it's also the thing of is it the Miami situation where what do we say? We say when these guys go to the Heat, they look like stars, and then when they don't go to Miami or when they're not in the Heat, they don't look as good. So
right.
Is that like a reverse? I don't want to say curse, but a situation where they go to the table with okay, we'll take Robinson, but is Robinson going to produce the same as he did in Miami? Because even when he produced well in Miami and got paid, he regressed. So it's kind of like a catch-22 a little bit with Miami and their depth. I think that's that could be also one of the reasons why Portland is a little bit hesitant because even that still doesn't sound. I mean, Hero, Robinson, Martin, and that still doesn't sound like a good enough trade for Damian Lillard. But again, that's really all you guys have to offer. So I think a team would take Duncan Robinson. I feel like you guys should just keep him because you need spacing, you need the depth.
Right.
And I know you guys, turn lower level guys into quality guys in that system. So it's like a guy that we never even heard of comes out of nowhere and it's like, oh, this guy has 15 in the playoff series. I get it, but you're also roll. That's also kind of rolling the dice with that too a little bit because you also want to have a proven guy too that knows what he's doing. But
does anybody want Kyle Lowry?
No, not at 37. Not at 37, man. He's a good. Again, he's coming off the bench. He's gonna come off the bench. I think he'd be a good six man for a Damian Lillard led point guard team for the Heat for sure. He can still contribute. He could get you 14 on a nightly. He could get you 14 on a nightly basis.
Who's gonna have the better season? Who's gonna have the better season this year, Chris Paul or Lowry?
I'm gonna say Chris Paul.
I'm gonna say Chris Paul too.
See,
that's a good question though.
I don't think Chris Paul is going to be the starter like everyone's saying.
He doesn't need to be, and I mean that's a whole nother conversation.
Yeah, and this is not even on our topics there. It's just I feel like I hate to say this because I think Chris Paul is a top tier point guard for the career, but they're basically the same player right now in what they're giving you. As far as if Chris Paul's healthy, he's great.
Yes.
But he's not making it to the end of the season for like the past 5 years. So what's the point of having him?
For Chris Paul, I think they'll start. I think they will start him in the beginning of the season. And then as time goes on, I think there'll be a conversation. Yeah, there'll be a conversation because it just defensively, it doesn't make any sense. Even though Looney isn't Looney's not a Olajuwon, right? But he's still a bigger body, and you want to keep Draymond out of foul trouble, right? You want to make sure he's finishing games. And if he's starting at center, going up against Jokic and AD and guys like that, you want to make sure he's ready to go in the fourth quarter. So I think they start. I think they, just to make him happy, they put him in that starting lineup. And then once things unfold, I think he'll come off the bench. And I think that'd be the best situation for him. But yeah, back to this. That's what I'm saying. I like Utah. I feel like he could start for the Jazz. Like I said, I like the Nets and Utah because I think with the Jazz he could potentially start. And even if you put Kessler at the 5, you still have four floor spacers out there because Markkanen can shoot, John Collins can shoot, and Clarkson and Hero could space the floor as well. So. I think that makes the most sense. I think that makes the most sense. And for Brooklyn's sense, you have Claxton and Ben Simmons. They're not great floor spacers, so you need shooting out there. And Hero's a great 3-point shooter, and so is Cameron Johnson, and so is McCall Bridges.
What if the Nets traded Ben Simmons in this trade?
No,
and he went to the Suns with KD.
No, his value's too low. He has to play.
Definitely wouldn't be to Miami.
No, he has to play. His value is low right now. His value is way too low for anybody to even consider trading him. He has to go out there and play. If he goes out there and plays and he does well, then he'll still be a valuable piece. But I think best case scenario for him is just to stay healthy and just go and show that he could be what he was prior to 2021 playoff series against Atlanta. Like that's really what he needs to get back to. But I'm just saying, like if they bring in Hero, you got right there. You have 3 floor spacers out there. You got Cam Johnson, high 30s% 3-point shooter. Hero, I believe, is hit 40, and McCall Bridges, I believe, is a high 30, 35 plus 3-point percent. So you got 3 floor spacers next to Ben Simmons who can't shoot, and all he wants to do is pass. And Claxton who can't shoot, and he's a rim runner. That sounds, and you got all the picks. Like I'll pull the trigger on that for sure.
It'll be interesting.
And the same thing for Hill. I know. I got a graphic here for Hill, but I mean, it's kind of like the same thing, the same report. It's the same situation, right? They want to develop Mathurin, which makes the most sense. That's their guy, right? That's their draft pick, and they want Halliburton and Mathurin to be the backcourt of the future, which I totally understand. And Buddy Hield is the same thing. He's a guy who space the floor. He could come off the bench and contribute, and even though he's coming off the bench, he can still close in game. And I just a lot of players prefer that, even though they're coming off the bench, as long as they're in the fourth quarter making plays and contributing, they'll take that, even though they're not the starter.
I know the Mavericks were really interested in Hield, but apparently, like the option of what the discussion was going on was Tim Hardaway Jr. and the Pacers said that they weren't interested in that, so that kind of stopped that conversation. Because I think Hield in Dallas would be wonderful with Luka and Kyrie, but it just doesn't seem like that went anywhere as far as Bleacher Report, of course. But if they can make that happen, I think that would really help out Mavericks quite a bit this year if they could get a Hield player like that. I mean, they could use all the three-point shooting that they could have. Kyrie and Luka penetrating and kicking out.
I think Hield would be good in Miami. I don't know if that would happen.
Obviously, I would love that, but
yeah, Miami, Dallas. I don't understand why Dallas would consider moving Tim Hardaway though. I mean, I feel like he's a better defender than a guy like Hield. But they do similar things. Hield is not really a guy that can go. He's not great at going to the basket.
THJ can be THJ can be really streaky on offense. So
yeah. True. And he's a better shooter. Hield is a better shooter. No doubt about that. Mm-hmm. But that'd be interesting.
It's like you need someone to play defense. Like that's Tim Hardaway Jr. for you. Like that's their only guy, really. But him and from Grant Williams a little bit. Yeah, he's gonna have to slim up a little bit, but yeah. Facts. All right, so we talked about Tyler Hero, Buddy Hield, their location where they may be going. This kind of saddens me because from last offseason, I was kind of high on this guy coming from Jazz, signing with Cleveland. I'm not saying it's bad news. It's just weird news. So there's expectations, I guess, that Donovan Mitchell will not be signing an extension. And, of course, I'm sure CJ is bringing up the graphic right now. And, of course, many times Nick and CJ both have said the Cavs, for them to be better than their 4th or 5th place seed of last year, Donovan Mitchell can't be their best player. It's got to be either Mobley or am I drawing the blank, or is it Mobley? It's Mobley.
I'm not saying. Did I say that? I don't recall saying that. Probably CJ.
CJ, I think, always said that it's Mobley's got to take over as their star. I don't know if maybe Donovan Mitchell is wanting to hold out so he can play his cards a little bit later during the offseason next season. I understand and respect that because he is getting up, I won't say in age as far as like he's super old, but it keeps his options open. A lot of teams like we even talk about right now, the Bulls are looking for a point guard because Alonzo Ball still hasn't got up out of the chair. Of course, we're looking at Jazz could use a point guard. Donovan Mitchell go back for ending season or ending career back home, something like that. I'm just speculating. If he's not signing an extension, is he wondering, is there greener grass somewhere else in Cleveland? Of course, last year he talked about how he really enjoyed Cleveland, playing time there, and just having being competitive with those guys. I actually think he likes it there, but I think this is more or less just him not wanting to sign to see how things plan out. But I'll pause and go ahead, CJ, with your graphic here.
Hang on just real quick. Hang on, man. People are so mean, man. Look at that comment underneath.
What they're saying?
Windhorse.
Oh, yeah. Context. Yeah, that's cool,
bro.
Yeah. It's, again, keyboard warriors. And this guy doesn't have his face on his profile picture. So who knows what he looks like.
Exactly.
And it's not even – he's the one that shared it. Okay, but it's NBA Central. Like, why even – that's why I hate, honestly, it's why I hate X, because it's a bunch of these pretenders hiding behind the computer typing stuff. Anyway.
All the time.
Yeah.
I think it's Cleveland or the Knicks. Hey, listen, man. Hey.
Now it's your turn to enjoy, CJ. I got to talk about Miami and Sun, so I'm gonna sit back and let you talk.
We have the pieces and we have the assets, so we're in a good spot to make a move for one of these guys, Giannis and/or Donovan Mitchell. Hey, it might play out that way. And I agree with you. I think he's going to play the season. It's a smart thing to do. Mm-hmm. Smart thing to do. Play the season out. See what happens. See how well they play. If they get to where they want to go, then he'll stay. If not, then he'll go to the place where he wanted to go, which is New York. So I like this is a smart move for him business wise, keeping his options open. This is exactly what you're supposed to do. You don't want to be hamstrung to a team, contractually for a multitude of years, and you're not so sure that you want to be there for the long haul. It's Cleveland's job. Here we go again. Can they keep a star player in Cleveland? It's right back to the drawing board. Right back to the drawing board, and it's up to Dan Gilbert. I know Kobe Oatman's going through situations right now with his charge and what happened with him over I think the last week or something like that. So he has to get that figured out on his end from a life standpoint, but from the business of basketball, this is kind of the con of a small market, and Donovan just came from a small market in Utah, so it's like it's a situation, but definitely the future is much brighter than in Cleveland than what it was in Utah when he was a Jazz, right? Mm-hmm. So they're just gonna have to play well. They're gonna have to play well, get to the second round at least. I say second round appearance at least. Then I could see him staying. If it's another first round exit, that's exactly what he had in Utah. It's like I can see him bouncing.
I hate to be this, and I don't know if I hate to be this guy, because Donovan Mitchell is I won't say one of my favorite players, but I really like Donovan Mitchell as a player. I liked him when he played in Utah a lot. I was high on him during the offseason, telling you guys he will be an MVP candidate. I didn't think he'd win it, but I thought he'd be close up there. I repeat myself on that a lot. But I will still say he is probably one of the most unrecognizable players in the NBA as far as a star caliber player. Because what you said, he's from small markets, Utah Jazz, now Cleveland. He's got more of a name since he played last year in Cleveland, that maybe he's got some more traction from some of these players. Like, hey, game recognizes game. I see you now getting a little more publicity. He's on ESPN. I see you a few more times here. Giannis does need a point guard in Milwaukee. Hey, we're both talking about who knows what else. What about you and I, since we both like these small markets? Let's just stay together.
So you just say Milwaukee needs a point guard? What happened to Drew? I thought Drew was the second best player on the team.
Hey, that wasn't me.
Drew?
That was who was that said that? Was that NBA Central that paired them up together?
Yeah.
But
the Ringer. Yeah.
The Ringer. But I mean, let's be honest. Would Donovan Mitchell not be an upgrade there? Time?
Donovan Mitchell's definitely an upgrade, but okay. You won a championship with Drew Holiday. That's all I'm saying.
Right. I agree with you. But I'm just saying, like, maybe some of these guys are talking to, like, I'm feeling a little more popular here now in a spotlight away from Utah. I've actually made it onto TNT a few times. The battles with New York Knicks, name recognition going on a little bit better for Donovan Mitchell. Maybe he's thinking, hey, I'm not going to sign because I want to test the free agency here. Yes, I wanted to be a New York Knick, but if maybe even LA calls me now, since it didn't work out with Westbrook, maybe the Lakers will holler at me. I don't know. Some of these other players or teams might be looking at him, because Donovan Mitchell, like, in my eyes, have went, I'd say, I don't know how to really put it on numbers, but like 10 times more recognizable in 1 year with Cleveland than he was with Utah Jazz, in my opinion. I mean, do y'all agree with me on that? Nobody's seen Utah Jazz games, even though they were the number one team that year.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, right, exactly. They're not popular.
How far did they get? Second round that year?
First round,
when they were number one seed.
Yeah.
Yeah, I believe they were the second. I think they lost.
Was it not the year that they lost to the Clippers?
To the Clippers, yes.
Yeah.
That when they were the number one seed, yes. It's a great point, and he wants to get that spotlight. If he wants to get that spotlight, maybe if Miami's hesitant and they don't pull the trigger on Dame, that could be an option. But I do think, he's going to be free agent, because it's rare well, not rare, but it's what these players want. They want to have freedom to be able to decide where they want to go, because is it really about the money for him? I think he's going to make a lot of money. He has a shoe deal, but if he goes to New York, and he's from New York, right? So he wanted to go there to begin with, but Danny Ainge and we all know what happened there. But he goes there with Brunson, and I don't know. I don't think RJ or Randall will be there. Maybe, but I don't know. But at least one of those guys. I don't think one of those guys will be there if they make that move. Just because I don't know if the money will work or whatever situation happens there. But that's special, bro. I mean, he's rocking that 45 in the Garden. That, like you said, that's bringing spotlight. And if he wins in New York, that increases his popularity as a player. He's already a top 3 shooting guard in the world. So it's just like now it's just about winning. It's about winning. You spent those first 6 years in Utah. You won a bunch of games, but you didn't even get to a conference finals. Like, they didn't even reach the conference finals. And like Nick said, they were a top 3 seed for a couple of those seasons. They were top 3 seed a couple of those seasons. They were number 1 seed, 3rd seed, and they just kept losing to teams they just kept losing. They kept getting bounced out in the first round. So, and they got bounced out in the first round to a team that he wanted to go to last season. So I think he's going to weigh out his options, and I think it's, again, from basketball standpoint, if the Cavs want to get to where they want to get to, yes, I believe Evan Mobley has to develop as, if not, he's not. I don't know if he's going to be better than Donovan Mitchell next year, but it has to be like damn near close, where it's like, yo, this guy is about to be like, we could kind of see on the horizon, this guy could be one of the best players in the league in a couple years. If he sees that from him, it's like, why leave? Because we already know a dynamic big, Jokic and Embiid, that transcends the league, and that could get you a bunch of championships if you have that guy at the 4 or 5 spots. So he's smart for weighing out his options, and we'll see what happens.
Yeah, this is nothing new that we see from star players. A lot of them, they're not signing extensions, and sometimes it doesn't mean that they're going to leave. It's just it's always best to just explore those options. I mean, even back in, I think, 2020, AD didn't sign an extension with the Lakers, and everybody was panicking, like, oh man, could he possibly leave? And the next, boom, he ends up staying. So it could mean just exploring opportunities. It could mean more money on the table. So, I think for Donovan Mitchell is smart here. I don't know how he feels about staying in Cleveland. Because you're definitely right. Because even last year, I think a lot of people thought New York was going to get him. A lot of people thought that New York was going to acquire him in a trade. Then it ended up being Cleveland. And he seemed like he was really excited about being in Cleveland, at the beginning, playing alongside Darius Garland, got young cats like Evan Mobley, you got Jared Allen, you got Karis LeVert. So, they have a decent team. It's just, the question was, was this team really ever going to get over the helm and possibly assert themselves as true championship contenders? So, that was really the big key. And then, obviously, they ended up losing in the first round to New York in this past playoffs. And even, I'll be real and say that, I didn't think he played his best basketball at all. So, throughout that series, and definitely give credit to New York defensively. But I guess you could say, maybe that is what he wants, is a bigger market. It's like you mentioned, he was in Utah for all those years. And we all know Utah doesn't really get a lot of spotlight. And then, of course, being in Cleveland, I know that Cleveland's slightly better, but Cleveland's not really, a big market either. And they don't really get a lot of play on national television either, as much as any other team like the Knicks or the Lakers or, like any other team. So, if that is possibly the case, I could definitely see New York possibly making it happen if they can. I think a backcourt of Mitchell and Jalen Brunson would be nice.
Woo.
That'd be nice. Like, they could they could possibly assert themselves as, I don't know if the best backcourt, but at least top 3. You know what I'm saying? Like, depending on how the season goes. Because, we saw the type of season that Jalen Brunson had last year. It's still crazy that he was an all-star snub. And then, Mitchell has always, at least for the most part, been a great playoff performer. We saw what he did in 2018 against OKC. And then on top of that, he's had other great moments as well. So, Yeah, the bubble as well. Oh yeah, how can I forget about the bubble? It's crazy. But I mean, so I think that would be a great pairing. And I mean, it's like you said. I mean, like honestly, I'll be real. If one of those guys got to leave between Julius Randle or RJ, I think it's got to be RJ. I mean, if you are getting a guy like look at Michael, if you are getting a guy like Donovan Mitchell, so I would love to see that happen. I think that is kind of what he wants, to be in a bigger market. I mean, Cleveland's cool. You know what I'm saying? I think Cleveland's got a good team, but I don't know. Because, I mean, Evan Mobley's still only like 22 years old. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, he's probably still got a few more years on him before he can really develop into the star caliber player that many people project him to be. And the same thing with Darius Garland. I think Darius Garland's probably like a year or two older. So, it's like, I mean, even though Mitchell's still young himself, is like, I guess the question is, does he really want to wait and see what this team can do as far as, really being a legitimate playoff contender. So, I mean, they made noise this past year.
Yeah, I'm saying they're already a playoff contender.
Yeah,
it's just about getting to that next step.
Yeah. I mean, I mean, being a favorite, basically, being one of the favorites, like the Milwaukee's, like Boston, like like the other teams as well. So, I think that's something that's very interesting. So, I think, if New York can find a way to grab him, whether it's free agency or whether it's a trade, do it. You know what I'm saying? I mean, unfortunately, they weren't able to do it last year. But, hey, I mean, sometimes things can come into full circle, and you may have another shot at it. So,
all right, I'm going to be the negative Nancy here. I would like him in the New York Knicks, but the only thing that makes me nervous about that, it reminds me of the Lowry DeRozan era of two short backcourts, or even the Dame and CJ McCollum backcourts, where they're really
DeRozan like 6'7", ain't he? 6'6", 6'7"?
Yeah,
but still, like that was the whole perspective of what they couldn't do anything because their two bigs or too small against. Of course, they went up against LeBron's teams,
but they went up against LeBron. Ain't nobody would beat LeBron then.
Right.
In the East.
And they just, that was kind of what the media was all saying is, they're great backcourts, but their size just came in here to haunt them more than anything because they were great, but their X's was smaller than the other team's O's, basically. And I think Donovan Mitchell and Jalen are great 1-2 punch there at the backcourt, but we're getting a little short. And, of course, this is getting in a different era of NBA where size really doesn't matter that much because you're spreading the court out so far where it's tough to really have that situation. I mean, you pack it in defensively, I'm pulling it from 40 feet away. So, I mean, that's where I'm only going to say. I'm worried about their size as far as two players being 6, maybe 6'3" at the most.
At the most, right. Definitely at the most. At the least. That's even last year. I was saying the same thing. I was like, it's a very small backcourt. And for a guy like Thibodeau, who's defensive minded, it'll be tough. But the one thing I'd say, you look at Portland, they didn't have a great rim protector. Nurkic is not a great rim protector. Knicks had Mitchell Robinson on the back end to kind of help with that if they do get beat on the perimeter. So, I would wish Randall to be a better defender. One would hope. But, that's not necessarily the case with him. If they do keep him, if he is a part of that, big three, if they were to acquire Mitchell, will he sacrifice some of his scoring and use that energy defensively? That's enormous question mark that I can't even answer for you because even now as a number 2, he doesn't do it. So it'll be a lot of questions there. Would Thibodeau even be the coach? Like it'll be a lot of questions. It'll be a lot of questions that I just can't foresee right now. But like again, back to Donovan. I just think for him, he's going to do the best thing possible. And I see a lot of upside with Cleveland too now. Like it's not just on a situation where it's just like New York all the way. Like Cleveland does have a lot of upside. Garland's been able to stay healthy these last few years. After kind of being injured for his first couple of years after being drafted. Bringing Mobley shown promise. Allen is good. Bringing in a guy like Strus who can space the floor now, so you don't necessarily you can't really trap guys like a Garland and Donovan on the perimeter. For Donovan as a player, I always said this too. I'd like to see him be more of a playmaker. Now, obviously, Garland is that guy, the floor general. but I'd like to see him be more of a playmaker. Even watching him against not only just us in the first round last year, but even 2 years ago against Dallas, he takes a lot of bad shots. Even though, I like the confidence that he feels like he can make the shots, but sometimes some of the shots he took hurt the offense more than it helped. And I think he needs to, relax with that a little bit and take smarter shots, especially in the playoffs where every possession matters. So, like I said, he's not a perfect player by any means. And, he's not the best defender either. Like Jalen Brunson baked him these last 2 years when he was in Dallas and he was with New York. So he's not a perfect player by any means. But is he special? Is he, if he wants to be considered a superstar, going to a big market, winning there would definitely help.
Okay, I'm going to take that sentence and transition into our next topic. You referred to him as superstar. And then I'm also wanting to ask you, because, you mentioned Strus a couple of times with Cleveland about the expectation of him spreading the court. I was really wanting to use that as my definition or my transition here. Like, is Strus technically a star moving forward? And, what's the definition of superstar? And, of course, the NBA kind of dropped something for us here. And so here's the question. What's the definition of a star in the NBA? And we're not talking about, the Dallas Mavericks.
Did you say Max Strus?
Well, I'm asking, is he going to be represented as is he going to be a star? Because I know he's undrafted in what he did. Listen, I think people use these names a little too loosely, and that's why I'm asking, what do you all feel on it? I'm not saying I think he's a star. I'm using that as a transition into their conversation here.
So this.
Okay, my bad. Like, the definition of a star, I think there's a few components that go with this. Obviously, you got to be one of the best players on the team. Maybe not the best player, but possibly second best player, third best player. Definitely got to have all-star your resume. Got to have some big moments. I think, whether you were one of the lead scorers or leading rebounders, or may have had a big shot or whatever it is. It's kind of weird, like how the criteria is, because there's just so many different dynamics that goes with it. It's like, for instance, like in a lot of other, in other worlds, like, a guy like Rudy Gobert wouldn't be known as a star, but he's got multiple All-Star appearances. He's got multiple Defensive Player of the Year awards, but there's a lot of people that wouldn't really factor him as a star in the league. But, his resume says otherwise. But who else
true.
is there I'm trying to think of? That's really the only guy I can really think of that's not really.
He's at the top, but the guys with great accolades, but no one considers
exactly.
For sure.
I know y'all got on to me about this guy some months ago, but Chris Middleton. I mean, he's been an all-star before. He's had his moments, especially in the finals. I think he led the team, in a few games during that series against Phoenix, so you can consider him a star. I'm trying to think of other guys right now. What about a guy like DeJounte Murray out in Atlanta?
Yeah, he made that all-star and all-star team a couple years ago. I would say, yeah. I would say so. Yeah, I mean, it kind of just goes into this conversation here. Like this is the NBA. The NBA has their own now. They have their own definition of what a star is. This is okay. Someone who's made the All-Star or All-NBA teams in any of the 3 previous seasons.
And see, that's a tricky thing because Jalen Brunson doesn't have an All-Star on his resume yet, but they consider him a star.
Exactly. Yeah. So yeah, it is tricky. But I guess for them, it's like going forward, they would probably, we're assuming that if the Knicks continue to have success, he would make the All-Star team. So he'll already be considered in that category as a star once he gets that accolade. So then they have a second graphic here of teams with multiple stars. Got the Celtics, Sixers, Warriors, Clippers, Lakers, Phoenix, Kings, Grizzlies, Bulls, Cavs, Bucks, Heat, Hawks, Heat, Timberwolves, and the Mavericks. I mean, yeah, this looks good to me. I mean, obviously Harden still a star? I would say yes. Is
Has
he?
Triple J been to the All-Star game for Memphis? I feel like he has, but I don't know for sure. I'm about to look that
I think he
up.
made it. I think he made it this year. I believe he made it this year.
He might have.
Last year that just passed. I think so. And obviously got
So
the
are the
DPOY.
Pelicans a team without multiple stars?
It's a good question.
Yeah, I mean Zion's been an All-Star. Brandon Ingram's been an All-Star.
CJ McCollum's been an
CJ
all-star.
McCollum. I mean, I don't know if you
CJ
consider
been an
CJ
All-Star?
McCollum a star. I think. Wait, maybe,
I think he
no.
was.
Take it back. I don't think he did. Take it back. I don't
Really?
think
I thought he
never been
did.
all-star.
I don't think he ever did.
I don't think so. He always missed out. It was that log jam at guard when they had Harden, Chris Paul, Splash Brothers. He was never. Lillard obviously got in there, but I don't think.
But
I
still,
don't think
wasn't Valanciunas?
Valanciunas was Valanciunas never all-star.
Yeah. Yo, Michael in Valanciunas, man. That's a great guy.
Nah, Valanciunas
Hey, you
never
don't
been
think
all-star team,
Valanciunas
bro.
is a star?
I don't think
He's a great player, but I don't think he's a star.
How is he a star? He's been traded like how many times?
I mean, still though, is he not a 20 and 15 kind of guy?
So
I don't know if he's getting it like on a nightly basis. I mean, he'll get it on occasion, but I don't know if he's getting that like on a nightly basis.
So Valanciunas is a guy you give the ball to at the end of the game in the playoffs.
Oh, now I
Because if
understand
he's a
that.
star-
That's a great point.
If
But
he's a star, you got to give him the rock. I mean,
is Gobert a person you give the ball to? He's
I
a
don't
star.
think-
He's named a star.
I literally just said he's not a star. I don't consider him a star.
But by
Not-
their
I
stuff,
think-
he's a star.
I think. Well, for me, when I see Timberwolves, I see Ant and
and
Cat.
Cat.
yeah, that's that's what I said, bro.
right.
That's my
But by their
multiple.
definition,
Yeah. What you said? Oh, right.
So
By
by
their
their-
definition, by the NBA's definition. Okay, yeah,
Right.
that's their definition. My definition, no. I mean, like, okay, of course, like, you don't necessarily have to give every star player the ball, but like for Gobert, it's like, bro, like he can't do anything offensively that's productive outside of dunking the ball. So, which is why he got traded, and which is why Utah got rid of him, even despite the All-Star teams and the 3 Defensive Player of the Year awards. So, if they felt like he was that great of a star, they would have never moved him. They would have kept him there. So, this is still a good. I mean, this list, yeah, this is the. I mean, I really can't debate this list. The Kings. I like Sabonis, and by their definition, by their definition, yeah, he's definitely a star. He does have to improve, but yeah, I would say he's a young star, but he still has to prove a lot in the playoffs. Before I just feel like again, when we put these labels on guys like star, superstar, you got to count the playoffs. He played all right against Golden State. He could have played much better, considering how well he played in the regular season with the double doubles and things like that, triple doubles. But yeah, I would still consider him a star right now. Yeah, Grizzlies, obviously Ja, Triple J, right? Bulls, yeah, that's what I'm saying. The Bulls. This is why it's so weird for Chicago, man, because like they do have 2 stars. They do have 2 stars. Like DeRozan, even though he's 33, 34, he's still playing at a higher level.
Still really good, yeah.
He's still really good. Levine's really good when he's on, but they're missing. Well, we already talked about this. They're missing. They need another head coach and they need a point guard. So like that hurts. That hurts them. The Hawks, like is DeJounte Murray like a star? I don't know, man. I don't know. Like,
Has he been in the All-Star game?
He made the All-Star team. Yeah, he made the All-Star team that one year, his last year in San Antonio. But I don't really consider him a star, though. I consider him a great young player.
No, I mean he's a great player. But
Like, which is not a bad thing to say. This is crazy. I consider him a great young player. I don't consider him a star.
Michael, Don't mention Valanciunas again, yo.
I can't believe you all don't like Valanciunas.
I like Valanciunas, man.
I do like Valanciunas. He's a really good player. He's a really good player. He's not a star, not at all. Not a chance. I mean, he was with the Raptors. He had a chance to be a star in Toronto. That with DeRozan and Lowry didn't work out. And then he had a chance to be a star in Memphis with Ja and Triple J. Got flipped for Steven Adams. So, and now we're seeing him now. He gets his points. He's great at scoring on the low block. Gets rebounds. He's great at offense.
I mean,
do you think he'll be in the Hall of Fame?
No. What?
But you also got to think like these games. Like but you also got to think as well. It's because Zion's missed 60% of the year, so it's like this is the reason why he's getting a lot of these numbers. If Zion's on the floor most of the time, I don't know if he's getting like 20 or 15.
Well, you can't hurt his stats because of that.
I'm just saying.
I won't even go there. I'd go for the fact that since Zion is out, he should be able to show how much of a star he is with their other star player being out, and he hasn't been able to do that. He has?
Yes.
Stat-wise, but not impact-wise. And I think that's the thing. I think to me, a star is it's the combination of both. It's your stats and complement with your stats complementing with the impact in winning. And I think Valanciunas is only one.
So CJ, I got a good one for you right here. What about DeAndre Ayton?
Come on, bro.
I'm just saying.
Well, I was going to ask Wemby, what do they consider him? Because he's not had a chance.
Wemby is a rookie.
I know.
That's kind of tough.
That's it, bro. That's what I'm considering, man. I'm not overhyping Wembanyama. I want him to be successful. We all want him to be, but I'm not about to sit here and be like, yo, he's a star. How can I say he's a star? He's only played two summer league games.
But that's
but that's the thing, because it's tough though, because it's like, what would you have considered LeBron in his rookie year? A lot of people consider him a star in his rookie year.
Whoa.
I mean, people did.
Look who you can blow. Look who you compare. Whoa.
Whoa. I don't think Wemby will deserve to be an all-star this year, but I believe he will be an all-star this year. I'll say that.
I think there's a chance he gets in.
What do you mean? Like, you mean like he's just gonna get in because of the hype?
Probably, yeah.
Yeah.
Probably. I'll be honest, probably. Because I'll be honest, nobody's expected San Antonio to make much noise this year. So, and I'll be real. If Wemby's averaging at least like 18 and 10, they'll probably let him in.
You should probably what you like, bro. Okay, 18 and 10 as your rookie, that's good.
Yeah,
that's good. That's not gifting him the All-Star game. Like that's pretty good. If he gets 18, 10, like 2 blocks, that's a pretty good rookie season, bro.
That is. But look, the voters. I think the voters are going to let him in. I think the voters are going to get him in.
I thought y'all was saying like if he was like 9 and 9, it was like, hey, Wembanyama. It's like, whoa, chill out. But yeah, 18 and 10. Yeah, because 18 and 10. They're saying they're going to move him to power forward. That she's starting at power forward this year, so that could help a little bit. Looking at the power forwards right now in the West, Triple J, it's thin. It's not a lot of guys.
Cat,
Triple J.
What is Sabonis, a 4 or 5?
Sabonis at the 5.
Okay. He's not a star, but you still got Aaron Gordon in Denver.
He'll be in the conversation. Right, he'll be in the conversation for like he was last year. Like he was in the conversation, but he didn't make it. But yeah, like 18 and 10, 2 blocks, your rookie year. I'm taking that, bro. That's all-star like numbers, bro, for sure. And then if they're like, if you could see they're considered easily better than what they were last year, and you see what the upside is tremendous off of how well he's playing, I think he might not make it, but if he's in the conversation, then yeah, next year when we have a conversation like this next year, I'll be like, yeah, he's a rising star. I would say he's a rising star or a young star. I wouldn't put him. I wouldn't put him in superstar category. I would say he's a rising star. It's like I had the Rising Stars Challenge. Those are the young players that we think are gonna be stars. Like, whoa. LeBron is different, bro. I mean, listen, bro. It's LeBron is different, bro. It's different, man. It's different. It's different. I don't even think LeBron made the All-Star team his first year.
Nah, he didn't.
That's what I'm saying.
I mean, it's different though. It's a different game 20 years later. I mean,
I agree with that. But this is what I'm saying. It's not easy. And I feel like the main reason why he didn't make it was because they were like, all right, we're not about to just give you the All-Star game your rookie season. And then he went 20 years in a row, you know what I mean? So it's gonna. I have to see it, bro. I have to see it. I can't put Wembanyama in this category. I don't.
Well, I'll even say this though. Like even Dame talks about that when he was younger. Like nothing was just given to the rookies. Now everything's like, hey, when you draft a rookie, it's like, hey, it's your team. So I honestly think.
I want to say Yao Ming was an All-Star in his rookie year. I think he was.
Are you serious? I hope not.
I think he was. Yao Ming was.
I'm not sure. But yeah, to Lillard's point, again, when Lillard got drafted, that was like right at the beginning of social media. Like, what was it, 2012, 2011?
Yeah,
so like
2012.
Instagram really wasn't Instagram yet. Twitter definitely.
Right.
Twitter was 3 years old. Instagram was like 2 years old. It was really just Facebook and MySpace. So it wasn't that the social media, the growth of it wasn't as large. So I could see what you're saying. So yeah, of course, like back then, you had to earn it. As to compared to here we are a decade later where you just gifted it and then you have to earn it. I agree with that. So I hope, like I said, like we all hope Wembanyama does both. Like he's gifted it and we hope he earns it. I think he will though. I think he's a special player. But for the star thing, this list looks good. And I mean, you can make the argument for New Orleans. You could. Based on their definition, I mean,
I think they got two.
She should be in there. Like, I mean, I was confused with how they got the definition up top and then don't put a team that has their definition in the list.
He's not played in 3 years.
But didn't he make the All-Star team, 2 years ago? Zion?
Yeah, Zion made it in 2021.
2021, right?
It was in New Orleans, wasn't it?
No, it was in Cleveland, I think. No, it wasn't in Cleveland. Where was the All-Star game 2 years ago?
Atlanta.
Yeah,
it was in Atlanta.
Yes, because they was riding up in them box trucks.
The box trucks, yeah.
Never forget. So now we have a definition of star for the NBA. Basically, it's the star of what the USA team was this year. And now next year, we look like we are going to be having the superstars on the team of LeBron, KD, Curry, and much more set for the 2024 Olympics. This is being dropped to you now because it is a conversation that kind of went on from last week where we were inactive, I guess, on the injured reserve from last week. We want to at least talk about it a little bit here. CJ, of course, is bringing up yet again a wonderful graphic. Nick, while he's bringing that up, how do you feel about the Olympics broadcast team like they are saying that the saviors are coming out?
We got to get gold. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I think that's really what it is. We got to get gold. I mean, we fell short this year. And it's like I even said a few weeks ago. It's like, I think I think going into next year, we're definitely going to be way more motivated. Because I'll be real, man. I mean, we lost 3 games in this FIBA tournament, man. Like, we haven't seen that in God knows how long. I don't even know which team is worse, this team or the 04 team. Probably this team here. But I think going into next year, I mean, you talk about, this is what any basketball fan would want to see. LeBron, KD, and Steph on the same team. Like, and on top of that, we haven't seen LeBron and KD on the same floor in over 5 years. So it's like, now we're going to be able to see this in the Olympics. Like, I mean, I'm not going to say that it's going to be the same impact as like the Dream Team or the Redeem Team, but when you add those 3 guys with the combination of, we might have Devin Booker, we might have Jason Tatum. I don't know if Jimmy Butler is going to play, but if he plays, that'll be dope too. Maybe some of the younger point guards like Trae Young and Ja Morant may want to step in as well. So
whoa. Him in the Olympics.
Oh, yeah, Dame too. Dame possibly.
Yeah, let's say he wanted to play. So
Kyrie probably. I don't know. Probably not Kyrie. But I mean, I'll be real. I think we're bringing out all the big guns, man, and I think it's gonna be scary. I ain't gonna lie, it's gonna be scary. I mean, I know a lot of people may I know a lot of people may have their concerns with LeBron playing because, you know, of his age, but I mean, hey, Braun is one of the more healthier dudes in the league. So, I mean, if he says that he wants to play and he's good to go, why doubt him? You know what I'm saying? So, I'm excited for next year. You know, obviously with all the firepower that we have, but we definitely got to redeem ourselves, you know, especially after what took place this year.
Yeah, you know, it's not going to have the same impact as the Dream Team. Of course not even close. It's not going to have the same impact as the Redeem Team in 2008. But when it comes to if all three of these guys play in 2024, this is their last time representing the United States in the Olympics because you got 38, 35, 35. You know, those guys are getting up there. They're not going to play in the 2028 Olympics. This would be good. This would be the first time we see LeBron and Curry on the Olympic team together. This is something that's like stuff you'd only dream of as a basketball fan to see LeBron playing with, you know, one of the greatest shooters of all time, the greatest shooter of all time, and Steph Curry, KD, a collection of other guys. LeBron wouldn't have to do as much as he did in years past because you have a collection of other guys that could still produce. Like obviously, I don't expect him to be playing 35 minutes in a 40-minute Olympic game. I'd probably see maybe 28, something like that. I mean, more times than not, if the team is as stacked as we hope it'll be a blowout. So he wouldn't even be playing that much anyway. This is cool. I get it. You know, they probably felt the way, obviously, with the no allows comment and just the way Team USA just faltered at the end, Lithuania, then Germany, and then obviously didn't even medal against Canada. I could see the players like to coming out and saying like, yo, let's go get this done. And there's honestly reports that Embiid might pull up now. Embiid's a citizen, American citizen now.
Really? For USA?
Yeah, he's legal American citizen. Yes. So they're trying to recruit Embiid. It's already a wrap, but you got these three guys in the starting lineup plus Embiid. It doesn't even matter who the small forward or power forward is, or shooting guard, or whatever. Probably be Booker.
Probably Booker, yeah.
Yeah, Booker probably makes the most sense. Because better off the ball than a guy like Tatum. So I could see that, but yeah, this would be nice, man. This would be nice to see. It's in Paris. So, the storylines are there. France is obviously going to be – Wembanyama said he's playing next year. So, that's going to be fun. We're going to see Embiid versus Wembanyama, Embiid, Wembanyama and Gobert in the front court. Two elite rim protectors trying to hold that middle down. That'll be fun to watch. Them go up against Team USA, Spain, one of the best teams in the country. Germany, they obviously want to defend. They just got the gold medal in the FIBA Cup. They're going to come out and try to do everything they can. Serbia, they go on the silver medal, and they didn't even have Jokic. So maybe Jokic. I'm pretty sure Jokic plays in Paris next year. This might be one of the best Olympics we've seen in a while. I definitely Canada is going to want to try to get they got bronze, but I'm sure they want to strive for more. Jamal Murray didn't play in the FIBA Cup for Canada.
Canada, yeah.
So
you're going to have Jamal Murray. You're going to have
SGA, yeah. It's going to be this definitely might be one of the most competitive Olympics basketball we've seen, maybe ever. If all those guys can stay healthy, which is the key thing, right? You got to stay healthy in your at your job, and then you get to go represent your country in the summer. This could easily go down as the most competitive Olympic basketball run of all time. I could definitely see it, and I think it just goes to show how this game has grown over the last 30 years, and just globally. You got the two best players on the team that won the championship. They're not from the United States. So it's just the league is growing. I think it's great to see. But, for Team USA, they want to come out and show that, we still have the best players in the world. And I think it'll be exciting to watch.
think it's going to be the best documented video in the next 20 years. We'll get to see the behind the scenes on this. And I think it'll be very interesting to watch. I'll say that. No, I think it's going to be fun. I think it's going to be I do think there's going to be a documentary. You all know that's going to happen. Yeah. But, I think I don't like The Last Dance, but I do think it does make sense on that. This is probably the last one for LeBron.
I'm saying, probably for all three, KD and Steph. I don't think they're going to play again after this.
I can see Steph maybe playing one more. But, it could be the last.
Steph would be probably like 38 by then. I don't know. He could.
Yeah, Steph be like 39.
Because, let's be honest. If Steph wanted to, he could just move to like a shooting guard role and still be okay in the league. If he wanted to continue to play.
Yeah, for sure. Easily.
That's what I'm saying. If he wanted to, he'd be like, I'm going to quit that. Clay, sorry you're gone. I'm taking your role. But anyways, it should be fun to watch. It should be fun to just keep up with and the highlighting. I don't think it's going to be like the Vince Carter jumping over 7-footer highlights, but I do think it's going to be dominant by the USA. It should just be fun. I'm excited to see what goes on with it. But y'all are going to hate me for saying this, but I would like for the NBA to actually say whoever wins, well, I guess you can't because there's so many international players now. So never mind, I'm going to scratch that before I even say it. Whoever wins the NBA Finals represent the USA team, but you can't do that now because there's so many international players. Yeah, right. So never mind, because be like, here's a reward, pay for winning.
I'm about to say because what if Denver wins it again next year?
Right then, who you got?
Yeah, well, it'd be Aaron Gordon, Michael Porter Jr. Right? It just wouldn't be enough. Yeah.
Right. So. But that would be pretty cool, I think, if the NBA could do that. But we're in the league now where there's too many international players. I say too many. That sounds a negative. Where we're open more to.
The game is growing.
Yeah. So and it's wonderful for the game. So, this last. Trying to think of what would rhyme with dream and redeem and go with this, but I can't think of anything now.
It's honestly crazy. Like I would love to see him play. He probably won't because he'll probably be hurt. But I would love to see Zion play on the team.
Zion, it'd be probably the last one he plays in too.
You would hope he'd be the future of Team USA basketball, but again, that all relies on his health status.
That's what's kind of scary is who we really passing the torch to for the NBA, like the USA team. You said Booker.
Booker's still young. D. Mitch.
Booker. Listen, he slipped up this year, but I think he keeps his head on his shoulders, and I think he's gonna be right back. I think
if he gets his head on right, gets his focus on basketball.
Anthony Edwards,
no question about it. Anthony Edwards for sure.
He's okay.
He's okay.
Don't hate.
I can see Mitchell, Trae Young. But here's the thing, right? What did we name? We named a bunch of guards.
Yeah.
And this is the problem in America. Maybe. I don't know. Again, like I said, it's a lot of guards. But here's the problem in America is that we don't have great centers right now. There's no David Robinson, Patrick Ewing, there's Shaq. Like, I'm saying, it's not even. If you want to consider Tim Duncan, even though he's the Virgin Islands, U.S. Virgin Islands, probably not. But even though he did play for U.S.,
he did play for him.
So it's like there isn't a lot of great big men in the States right now, and you look at the three best players, arguably the three best players in the world. They're all big men, and they're all not from the United States. And Jokic, Giannis, and Embiid. So. That's a problem. And then you got Wembanyama. We got to hope and pray Chet becomes a guy, like a real guy. You know what I mean? Like you got to hope Kessler. You got to hope those two guys come around and really develop as big men, and really try to transcend and bring it home for us because that was a problem with them in the FIBA World Cup is they got dominated on the boards. They got dominated in the middle. Yeah, but like younger guy like. I can see Ben playing in like 2028. Yeah, I can see Ben playing in 2028 Olympics for sure. But in terms of like
that's really guys, it.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, that's really it. Like Cat doesn't want to play the 5, obviously, as we see now. So he can't really. He'd play, but he's not going to play center. Like I don't see him protecting the rim. That's just not him. He doesn't want to do that for his own team. And he's playing for
They
DR.
need CJ versus the world, boys. Let me tell you, he dominates the rebounds.
Yeah, if we could combine the virtual world and actually have an eFIBA. Actually, they have a esports FIBA for 2K. Crazy enough.
Really?
Yeah, all countries across. Yeah, they got there's 2K. It's a 2K team for all the countries across the world.
Listen,
I think it's in November.
Was selling the PlayStation 5 with Madden the other day. I was like, man, that's just too expensive since my truck got stolen. But
man, yeah, no. So yeah, I mean, like I said, they're trying to transcend 2K and NBA. But like I was saying, man, maybe Mitchell Robinson could maybe get in there. I could see him potentially making the team. Because you need size, right? We need tall guys that can protect the rim, get offensive rebounds, and make it happen. Because we really lack at that position in the U.S. It's really just a bunch of guards and guys that just want to shoot.
a bunch of Steph Currys.
Steph Curry's. Who knows? I mean, this guy's not even in college yet, but Cooper Flag, he's 6'10", he could grow a little bit, get to like 6'11". He's 6'10" right now. He gets to like 6'11", 7 foot. He could be easily a dynamic big in the league. I like his game a lot. So there's some guys on the come up like that's in the league right now, like Chet, like Kessler, and we're gonna obviously dive into the Northwest Division right now next. But we just gotta hope and pray they become really great players.
And plus, I'll be real, man. Like I think Steve Kerr got to get replaced, bro. Sorry.
Hey, you said it,
man. I would do anything to bring back Coach K. He's probably not going to do it, but man, or even Pop.
I take Ty Lue and Spoelstra. They get it.
Ty Lue, yeah.
Bro. They just get it, bro. Because look at Ty Lue, like Ty Lue, he understands that we could go small ball. He'll understand matchups. Like there'll be series or situations against the teams they'll play. He'll play Zubac, right? Because he knows, okay, this is a big body going up against a big body. And then if they need to go fast and small, they'll put they'll have they used to have Covington at the 5 and things like guys like that'll play the 5 if need be. So just Kerr, he's just so stuck on small ball lineup because that's what won him, 4 championships, right? Which I get, but as I said a couple weeks ago, that it's not the same personnel. Maybe he learned. Maybe this run humbled him, and he gets back to the drawing board and figures it out. I mean, even next year is really not too much to, we still might get dominated on the boards, but it's just the talent. We just have so much more talent. We're just so much more talented at other positions next year, even though we don't have the talent in terms of the big man position. I just think we'll still be able to win. But Kerr, hopefully he learned, bro. But if not, if he does, say if they do go elsewhere, Grant Hill, the new president of USA Basketball, if he wants to go Ty Lue or Spoelstra, I'm more than happy for him to do that for sure. Because they're the 2 guys right there next to him, so it makes no sense.
All right, let's get back to the NBA, get away from this USA, and let's go ahead and start going back to our preview. The preview that we're going in now is over to the West Coast. We're in the Northwest Division, and the preview, of course, that's the Trailblazers, the Jazz, Thunder, Timberwolves, and Nuggets, I think. Of course, we have went down. I'm going to flash right here and gave our scores of our records of win-loss of what we think. It's been quite crazy on some of these, but we'll go ahead and get into it. And you know what? We've been talking about this team mostly today, quite a bit. So we'll go ahead and start with them. We'll start with the Portland Trailblazers. They're going to be kind of a team. I'll go ahead and mention it. The very first team that we did was Miami Heat. And we actually gave a 2-win record on that. One with getting Dame Lillard and one with not receiving Dame Lillard. So I know that's kind of going to weigh in of how we really assess the future of this team for this season of win-loss columns. So if you guys want to, we can kind of do the same with Portland. If they finish the whole season with Dame, an X amount of wins, and if they lose Dame before the season start, an X amount of wins. So, Dick, let's hear from you first, man.
I'm excited for what Portland has in store. Do I believe they are playoff contenders? No. And we're all still awaiting on what's going to take place with with Damian Lillard. But just looking at the team outside of Dame, I like the young talent that they have. Scoot Henderson is the future of this franchise. We saw what he was able to do with the G League Ignite, dynamic talent. Being able to fly above the rim, being able to be a great playmaker. He can score from the perimeter, so he has the full package of what it takes to be a dynamic point guard in the NBA. So I'm excited to see what he does. Anthony Simons is another one who has improved tremendously over the past few years, especially after CJ McCollum got traded to New Orleans a year ago. So I'm excited for him. And then they got a bunch of other young talent as well. Jeremy Grant's still with the team. I think he just re-signed with the team if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
They still got guys like Nasir Little. Yeah, big extension. Then they still got guys like Nasir Little. So I'm excited for the future of this young team. Outside of Damian Lillard. Now, obviously, if Dame plays, I think that'll be great. Not even just on the court, but being a voice in the locker room for his time being there. Being able to mentor guys like Scoot and those other guys as well. So I think that's still a positive, even though people are still waiting on what's next for Damian Lillard. But if he is going to be there through some portion of the season, I think that it can be beneficial for the young guys. As far as where I have them landing, where did they finish last year? They finished 33 and 49. I'll say without Dame for the whole year, I'll say 30. I'll probably say 30.
And with the Dame?
With Dame, I'll say 35, I guess.
How about you, CJ?
Yeah, I think without Dame, I don't think Dame's going to be there. I don't think Dame will play. I think even if he's not traded per se, like right before, I don't think that. I just feel like I think he's gonna get traded before the season opener. I feel that way. I think so. I think they make the move for whatever team. So wins wise, I'm gonna say 23. I'm gonna say 23.
23. Ooh, jeez.
They're a young team. They're a young team, bro. Looking at their depth chart, you kind of went through it a little bit as well, but it would be Scoot Henderson, Anthony Simons, Shaden Sharp.
I forgot about Shaden Sharp.
Jeremy Grant and Yusuf Nurkic. Now that's a question mark with Nurkic too, because if Dame's gone, he might want elsewhere as well. He might want to go somewhere else.
I think he's got to go.
Yeah, there's reports about they're saying Vogel wanted a defensive-minded center and Nurkic, and I'm like, I can't remember the last time I seen Nurkic play defense, but if Vogel feels like he can turn him into Roy Hibbert, I guess. But then you got Matisse Thybulle off the bench, solid, perimeter defender that they acquired. Nasir Little still injured. I'm blinking. I'm blinking. I think it's Chris Murray. It's Keegan Murray's younger brother.
Yeah, Chris Murray. Yeah. So
he's there in that second unit role. So this is what I mean, guys. They're young, And Chauncey Billups is the key word for this season. If you're a Trailblazer fan, and you probably had a lot of this already, but patience, and that's what they're gonna have to have. Now, if Scoot right away is just gonna be this excellent basketball player and get them to like play in year one, could that happen? That'd be a great story in the league. I just can't see it right now. I think it's the future is bright. I do think the future is bright for this team for sure. I like Scoot Henderson, Simons, and Sharp as a young trio with with Chauncey Billups coaching, former guard, great guard, defensive guard. And they got some young guys hungry, ready to go. I know he's going to be preaching defense automatically from those three guys and try to get the most out of them from the defensive side of the basketball. So that's going to be fun to watch. But I just don't think they're going to win a lot of basketball games. But I do think they're going to show a lot of promise and show that the future is definitely something to look forward to if you are a Trailblazer fan. So all in all, and then who knows what they acquire in the trade. In the Dame trade, they could get somebody that could be a nice piece. And I like Jeremy Grant. I personally don't think Jeremy Grant might get traded too. Maybe at the trade deadline, because yes, he's making like 30. I think he's making like 40 mil or something like that, 30, 35 plus.
Mm-hmm.
But he's a really good player, man. I think he averaged like 27 and 4 last year. Solid shooting splits. So he could be a piece. And he really good contributor for the Nuggets a couple years ago in the bubble, which kind of helped him get to the Detroit and then get to Portland and make a substantial amount of money. He's really improved as a player over these last couple years. So I think he could be someone that could be moved, and a contender could definitely make a run at the trade deadline. They feel like they just one solid piece away from really winning the championship. So yeah, I think they're going to acquire a lot of assets in the next 2 years, similar to like OKC and those other young teams. And I think in a year or two, I think we'll start having the conversation of can they get to the play-in.
Yeah, I agree with pretty much everything you said. I wrote down that I've got them at 25 wins without Dame. With Dame, I'm going to go ahead and put them at 35 because I think.
Well, dang, I must be too high on Portland.
OD.
Well, I said 30. I was being nice saying 30.
I mean, I think Nurkic is out. I mean, Ayton coming in would be very good for that team to carry on. So it could be surprising on what they do. I mean, if they get a superstar back in return, it changes things. But I don't think they're really going to get too many of the superstar. I'm not saying Ayton's a superstar, CJ. Calm down. Don't think I am on that. But I'm just saying I think you're going to be getting a lot of young players that could turn into superstars. And so for that, I'm going to have them lower. But, I mean, they could change up on what seems to be a lot of the talks of the trades of what they're looking at. And that's what I just kind of feel. I think without him, 25, with Dame, 35.
Hey, listen, if they hypothetically do make that trade, Nurkic for Ayton somehow, some way, I think that'd be great for Ayton, right? Because isn't that what he wants? Like, he wants to kind of be
a new beginning.
New beginning, be a primary option. The offense could play through him. We know Chauncey is played in the era full of big men, so I think he'd be more than comfortable with running plays through him if need be. So if that were to happen, I think that'd be a great situation for Ayton. There'll be no excuses. Honestly, there's none now. I mean, you're playing with 3 elite, but hey.
All right, so let's go ahead and continue on. Let's go on over to the Utah Jazz. They finished last season with a record of 37-45. Kept a few of their pieces together. Clarkson staying. CJ, we'll start with you. What do you think of this team moving into the 23-24 season?
Yeah, last year, they really caught a lot of people by surprise. They started off the season really well. I think they were like third in the West for a little bit. I think maybe second at times. Like a lot of people didn't expect them to be that good after they traded Donovan Mitchell and Rudy Gobert, but they have the most improved player of the year last year, and Lauri Markkanen came in and had an excellent season after being in Cleveland and being in Chicago. The 2 trips prior, he's really positioned himself into becoming one of a really nice young player and a solid cornerstone piece for them. I think it's a great story and a great situation for a team like Utah, who, again, they're not a team that's going to acquire high marquee free agents. So if you could get a situation like you got with Markkanen, I think that's excellent for them. Clarkson is someone that wants to stay there. He has an opportunity to start. We know he was coming off the bench with the Lakers and Utah as well. But now he's getting an opportunity to start and be the guy. At shooting guard, maybe potentially. I still feel like maybe they have to look for a point guard. I never really considered Clarkson as a point guard. He's a shooting guard to me, so I think they need to find that point guard. They drafted Keontae George in the draft this year. A really nice young player, showed some flashes in the summer league. In the second half of the season, they kind of hit a wall there, and they didn't really have the talent to really catch up to some of these other teams, and they kind of fell a little bit, and that's why they ended up out of the play-in. But I think going into next year, bringing in John Collins from the Atlanta Hawks, I think that's a big pickup for them. And now I would hope, to me, their X factor is Walker Kessler. I just feel like this guy had I believe a 20-20 game. He averaged like 2.5 blocks coming off the bench. Like, what are we really doing here? Like, this guy could be a really special player for the Utah Jazz. And I think for him, it just comes down to being not just developing more as an offensive player. Like, you don't just want to be defensive minded. You want to improve your game. You're on a team where you can do that. You don't necessarily just have to be a defensive specialist on this team. I think they're looking for scoring from that position, and you're in a conference and you're in a division with the best player in the world, and he plays the same position as you. So, I just think it makes the most sense as a young player to improve his game, get better at that. And those could be some phenomenal battles with him and Jokic if he develops his game as a scorer because he already has the defense. So, I'm really high on Kessler. I was high on Kessler when he got drafted. I think obviously I've said multiple times on the show that Minnesota made a mistake. But for Utah, man, I think for them is really finding that guard. It's finding that guard. Will Hardy in his second year as a head coach I think he had a great rookie head coaching year, all things considered. And I think he's going to only improve. I love his scheme. He has one of the best offensive schemes in the NBA, that 5-out kind of, create mismatches on the offense and manipulate that to create easy buckets for the team. He's great at that. They had 37 wins last year. I'm gonna say 40. I'm gonna say they get to the 4-0 this year. I think with Kessler playing a little bit more, I think their defense improves. Collins is a good pickup. He's not a needle mover by any means, but he's a solid player that could do a multitude of things for you. He's a floor spacing 4, which helps. I think marketing year 2 being the guy gets better. Clarkson as well. I just still have questions if they could find that playmaker at the 1. I think that's kind of the one thing that they're missing right now. But other than that, I think it's a really solid team going forward.
All right, Nick, what about you?
Utah. I like this team. I really do like this team a lot. I like what they showed last year. Larry Marketing to many was my most improved player. Actually, did he win it? I don't know why.
Yeah, he won it.
Yeah, he won it. I don't know why. Larry Marketing had a really good year. Especially coming from Cleveland to Utah. Being the number 1 option offensively. He really showed that that he can put a team on his back and just really carry them. And then on top of that, you still have a great veteran presence like a Jordan Clarkson who can, put the ball in the basket and who can take pressure off of your star players. Walker Kessler is another phenomenal rookie. May have been kind of under the radar because he doesn't really provide a lot offensively, but defensively you can't ignore what he's been doing. He's been doing that since he was in college at Auburn under Bruce Pearl. Yes. So this team is young. This team has a really bright future ahead of them. Do I want to go 40? I don't know if I want to go 40 yet. I'll say 37. I'll say 37 to be safe. But I love the direction that this team is going. I don't know if there'll be a play-in bound this year, but I will say this. I'll say maybe next year. I think that they could definitely make it happen, especially if they continue to progress, if they can continue to surround Larry with great pieces around the roster. I didn't even mention John Collins too. I think John Collins is a really big pickup. I think when he is used properly, he can be a double machine. We saw it in his earlier years in Atlanta. It's just over the past few years. I guess maybe it was coaching, maybe it was schemes. I felt like he wasn't really at his best, but maybe this could be a new leaf for John Collins. Going into Utah, maybe they can utilize him the best way that he should. So I'm going to say 37 wins for Utah. I think that's going to be a huge. Oh, I should never take that back. They won 37 last year, so they'll be in the same place. They'll be in the same place this year. But I'll say this, man. Next year, I think they're going to be off to the races. As far as being a playing team.
See, and I'm not coming at you doing anything on that. What you think is what you think, obviously. But so I'm just going to ask a question. So you don't think they improve any compared to what they did this year?
It's an improvement, but I don't know. The West is still very, very tough to me. So even with, not even just talking about the championship contenders, but even the other teams out there. For instance, do you have Utah over Minnesota? I don't think they're as good as Minnesota yet. There's a few other teams as well. I'm trying to think of other teams that were in the play-in tournament.
You
They
know,
might be better.
OKC.
Yeah, OKC. Yeah, I mean, are they better? I mean, actually, no, take that back now. They're not better than OKC just yet. So that's why I say, like give them a year, especially more time to develop and everything, and just continue to build around the young guys, and then possibly next year, I think that they'll be in that mix.
And again, I'm not coming at you. To me, I think they've got to improve on what they did last year. I mean, at least by one game. And I've got them at 40 as well. I wrote that down. That's why I was holding up four fingers with CJ before you said it. Because, one player, also a candidate for Sixth Man of the Year is Colin Sexton. It's in a spot that, I don't think either one of y'all mentioned on the team there is Sexton this year, fitting in with this group. Everyone on this team basically is back. I don't even think, they're talking about wanting to start Keon George this year already. So, I mean, they need to possibly make a move and get a more shooter or a pure shot creator. And, I mean, they've got the picks. They've got the capability of moving players. What I like about this team, I guess it might be high on the potential, because this team is a bunch, and I don't mean this disrespectful. They're not really stars, as we looked at earlier. I mean, yes, they've got a few people that made an all-star, but they're not like superstar team. It's just a team that is dedicated to each other and set with their depth that I like about it. Like it's a team atmosphere team, it looks like. I mean, everyone's got each other's back on it. Ian, there's a report on Bleacher Report that Darren Williams and Carlos Boozer are possibly coming back to help out the team some in collaboration, they say. So,
that's doing with Utah, baby.
So
that's great. That's a great report right there. That'd be great.
So I think that those guys, and just saying, hey, this is how we did it back when we were good, and this is what we did. Carlos Boozer down there bumping with them and saying, this is how you work as a big man. Like it's going to get the bigs more involved, and Williams was a great point guard if he only had some ankles. So I mean, I've got him at 40, and I honestly think they could do better, but I'm going to put them at 40 because I think Portland's going to be losing some games. Somebody's going to take up the slack of those wins there. So I've got them at 40, and respectfully being conservative, I feel, honestly. Utah Jazz, to me, is the potential of the Cleveland of last year, really. I mean, they could turn it on big time, I think. I mean, I don't know if they could be up to a 5th or 4th seed, but they're the team that are continuing to build on what they had previous years, and that's what you want. Like, you don't want to be stagnant and stuck where you're at and on a plateau, really. So I don't think Utah's done, really.
Who do you think will finish with a better record, Utah or Houston?
Utah
Houston upgraded this year. Yeah. Houston upgraded this year, so.
It's a good question.
And even besides Kevin Porter Jr., because he's not going to be with the team, after everything.
Personally, I'm going to say Utah. And I know it's probably not the pretty answer, but I'm committed to Utah, really. Houston, there's times where teams have great talent but not great players that play together. And to me, I feel like Houston is in that bubble where they're like, hey, we've got all the great talented players, but not.
I mean, we got to see it, though. We got to see it. I mean, this is a lot of guys' first year. It's Fred VanVleet's first year.
Yeah, that's why I would go with Utah, right, for that reason.
So
right now, yeah.
All right. Well, thank you. I don't have to justify myself with CJ. It doesn't matter. So
yeah, that's it. So it's like it just makes the most sense. I mean, like you said, they kind of kept the same team, right? Mm-hmm. And then Houston's bringing in pretty much their whole new team, new coach.
Don't know what to expect.
Like, yeah, we don't know what to expect. So yeah, obviously Utah have a better record.
Yeah, Houston is like the USA team that we just had. They're all good, but we don't know how they're going to play together.
Facts.
So let's go on over to Oklahoma and let's give a reading on the Thunder, who I think is a very interesting team. Of course, last year they finished with the 40 wins, 40 and 42. Chet never played a second. And with that, Nick, we'll start with you on this one. I think I started with you last time, but we'll go ahead. What do you think of OKC with, SGA going to be an MVP candidate this year?
He's going to be an MVP candidate. I'll be real. I think OKC gets into the playoffs. I think they were close last year. They beat New Orleans in the first playing game, and then ultimately lost to Minnesota. So I think this year they're going to be able to take what they learned from last year and then and then have a good year this year. And then on top of it, like you mentioned, they didn't even have Chet Holmgren last year, and they were still able to make noise. I like the backcourt of SGA, Josh Giddey. SGA is a dynamic scorer. Giddey's able to impact the game in multiple ways. He can score, he can facilitate, he can rebound. So I love what he brings to the table. Both Jalen Williams, I love what they bring to the table as well. So OKC, I've been like, and that's the funny thing about OKC last year, because I was thinking like, man, like, could they make noise now, or are they gonna wait possibly a few more years? Because I mean, it's like you said, SGA, he made the All-Star team this past year. He averaged around 31 a game. So I think this year they're gonna make it happen. They're gonna definitely make it happen this year. They probably will still finish around 7, 8, 9, 10 slot, to me. But I think somehow, somewhere they're gonna get over the hump. So I'll say they get 41. I'll say 41. Yeah.
Okay.
All right, 40. You got 41. I got 43 for OKC. This is the year. This is the year. Listen, last year we thought they were gonna make that step, but then Chet got hurt, right? So that kind of hurts. That kind of hurt the situation there. But they still surprised a lot of people, and they were missing that rim protector in the middle. They were so small. Watching some of their games, SGA would do a great job, but just defensively, man, they just didn't have it. They didn't have it on most nights. And I think bringing in someone like Holmgren with his versatility, not just as a defender, but also as a scorer, which I think more people will see. I think he developed a lot. Even though he was out for the year, I think he got a lot stronger. He put on 13 pounds of muscle. So that's great to see from him, putting a lot of work in. Saw him training with KD and some of the other top players in the league. I think that's great to see as well. So he's committed. He's locked in. Look at their starting five here. You got SGA, Giddey, Lou Dort, Jalen Williams, and then Holmgren. That's a nice starting five, man. That's a nice young starting five. SGA, top 10 player in the world. And, he's done a great job of continuing to improve as a player since his beginning as a Clipper in 2018. First team All NBA. That's because I just see him continuing to get better. Giddey, and looking at the rest of their starting five, Giddey and Holmgren, man, they're going to have to really bring it. Giddey from a floor spacing standpoint, he has to improve as a shooter. He needs to get that 3-point percentage to around at least league average, which is 35, 36. If he's able to do that with his playmaking ability, I mean, he's a walking triple double. With his height at 6'8", he's a 6'8" shooting guard. But it really, like, he's not even a shooting guard. It's just that he could really be he's probably a point guard on another team. But since the point guard is SGA, he's at the shooting guard position. So because of that, and because teams are going to try to trap SGA and try to get the ball out of his hands, he has to be more of an efficient shooter / scorer. So I would like to see him improve in that category, because everything else from the offensive standpoint is really good from him in terms of vision and things of that nature. So I think he'll excel there. Jalen Williams is an X factor for me. Jalen Williams and Holmgren are the two X factors. I know what Lou Dort's going to do every single night: guard the opposing team's best player, space the floor, knock down shots. He's improved his 3-point shot tremendously since he got drafted. He's really improved his game. I think he's a great young player. They extended him a couple of years ago. I think that was a smart move by Sam Presti. So Jalen Williams, 6'8", rangy. He could be a guy. Man. He could be a nice piece for them. Sam Presti's done it again. I mean, he's going to try to strike gold again with this young OKC team. Hopefully, he can keep these guys together longer than what he had a few years ago with Harden, Westbrook, and KD. But I think the way he's built this team, it took some time. Obviously, you need a little bit of luck with these draft picks, a little bit of luck too with SGA's emergence as a player. No one really saw this. I didn't see this. He pretty much averaged like 25 damn near like the moment. As soon as Chris Paul left, it was like 25 a night. So he's really improved. It got better. Now it's 31. I think the points will go down a little bit, but I think everything else will fill out in terms of playmaking and defense because he doesn't have to do everything now. Now that he has a little bit more help, I think, with Chet and I think some of the other players on his team getting better. Their bench, the other Jalen Williams is solid. Wiggins is pretty good as well. Pukaszewski is a nice backup big. He's a little small like Chet. They kind of have the same kind of play style, floor spacing center. But he's Jang, the guard. I mean the forward that they drafted, or that the Knicks drafted that they traded for a couple years ago. He showed some promise in the G League. I think he'll get called up a little bit and get some PT now because they're going to need some depth. So I'm a fan of. I'm a fan of this team. I think they're going to continue to excel. They still got a bunch of draft picks left from the Clippers and from the other teams that they got over the last few years. I think they still have like 6 or 7 first round picks over the next 3 or 4 years or so. So I don't think if this team continues to improve and gets better, I think what they'll do is they could still probably draft and farm guys, but I could definitely see them making a trade for like a Jeremy Grant or just someone like that, like a role player or a bench player that can come in and contribute because you're gonna need some solid depth come playoff time. So I got 43 wins for the Oklahoma City Thunder. I think they make a big improvement. I think Chet Holmgren will be in the Rookie of the Year conversation.
Okay, guys. Well, it's going to be Wemby on that. It doesn't matter what Chet does. Chet could average 30 and 10, and Wemby will still win. Anyways, I think Chet's going to easily be getting 15 and 10 almost every night in a game. And I know without even looking that OKC lost at least 5 games within 15 points. So just adding Chet playing to this, I think that they make a big jump in the win column because of that. I've got them at 46 wins. You all may hate on me, but looking at it, I think
46.
I think they're going to be better than the Pelicans this year. I think they're going to be better than the
even with a healthy Zion.
We don't even know who Zion is.
Hanging
out with right now. Let's just leave it at that. We don't know what house he's at right now. Okay, so I've got him better than the Pelicans. I got him better than the Timberwolves. I've got them better than Houston. I just actually was looking at this. You were talking about, Nick, I think you said 7 or 8 seed. I mean, the Pelicans, the Mavericks will be jumping back up in there from that. I think they're going to be better than the Grizzlies this year because of Ja being out for 20 games.
Well, OKC?
Yeah. I think Grizzlies are going to fall that far down. So I'm going to say that OKC is going to be coming around that 6th seed this
Ja's only gone for 25 games out of 82.
That's a big chunk, man.
He still got 57 games.
That's a big chunk.
If they can make it 5, they could be 500. That's best case scenario.
So I think Grizzlies are going to be in a play-in game possibly this year without Ja with those 25 games. So, yeah, I'm going to put OKC at 46 and have them in around the 6th seed this year. Hate me if I'm wrong, but if I'm right, y'all going to think, wow, you called it, man.
He got close to 50 games. Whoa. That's crazy.
Listen, they're at 40 this one. You don't think adding Chet to healthy with 15 points and 10 rebounds?
Chet hasn't even seen the NBA floor yet.
I'm saying if Chet scores 15 points a game, you don't think that wins him 5 more games?
I personally don't think so. Honestly, I mean, this is me. I don't have them better than Memphis just yet. I mean, I know that Memphis is playing without Ja, and I'm looking at the experience that they have.
I don't have them better than Memphis, but I'm just saying, due to circumstance of what they've got going on, I think they'll finish this season better than the season record-wise, better than the Grizzlies. I still think even when Ja comes back, they'll still be better. Because I mean, Ja's gonna be back by at least before Christmas.
With Ja coming, that's a great game, bro. That's just not like Memphis is not just gonna just like walk over OKC. Like I said, Chet.
No, I'm not saying that.
If Chet is as advertised, right? That's the thing, bro, because he has to be able to protect the rim because they got Steven Adams and Triple J in the front court. Like he has to really, you got to bring it, bro. So it's not going to be easy. No. I know what you're saying. I would still like if they would say like it's like a playing game. right now, like without seeing everything play out, I would go Memphis, right, with Ja because of that front court is just like
And
Steven
on top
Adams.
of that, you added Marcus Smart. You added Marcus Smart from Boston. That's a big tick up.
But that's still a really good game. That's what I'm saying. Like Memphis
definitely
could lose. They could lose, bro. They could definitely lose to OKC. I could see them losing. If they lost, I would be like, yo, okay. Like I wouldn't be shocked or like upset because again, like I said, like this is at the top when you asked, I was like, this is the year. Like this is the year they have to make the playoffs. Like it's not like you have to make the playoffs this year, bro. Like you did all this.
OKC will be a 6 seed.
So yeah, see, I don't know about 6 seed, but again, like you said last year, bro, there were a lot of games that they lost that they should have won, and they were missed. They didn't have the defense. A lot of those Laker games that they should have. Honestly, they almost like swept the Lakers. Now I know the Lakers were kind of going through what they were going through first half of the year. I get that, but like a couple of those games, they should have beat the Lakers, and they lost. They lost to the Lakers because they were missed because they had nobody to stop AD or even at least try. So I think they're gonna be there. I think they're gonna be really good. I don't know, 46. That's like a Sacramento Kings jump.
Exactly, yo.
I mean, listen. I mean, it could happen, bro. It could happen.
It could, but
because you already got a top 10 player on the team, bro. You already got a top 10 player on the team. So
I don't know, man.
Don't come at me when I'm right, but when I'm wrong, you all can yell at me all you want, okay? So with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and transition to the third best team in this division, the Minnesota Timberwolves.
The third best team.
Of course, last season they finished with a 42-40 record.
Yeah, Cat missed like 25 games though. But yeah.
I thought he missed like 50 some games.
Yeah, I think it was 50 games. My fault, you're right.
Yeah.
They won like 20 something games in his absence. Right. Yeah.
Ant-Man is the future. Ant-Man is the future, man. Continue to build around him. Continue to run the offense through him. I think a lot of people were surprised at his play during the FIBA during the FIBA tournament, but I mean, if you've been watching Anthony Edwards, I mean, even especially throughout this year, I think he's elevated not only offensively but defensively as well. I think he's really taking pride on that end as far as getting stops. And whenever your best player is active on the end of the floor, at least a great opportunities on offense. So I'm excited to see what he can bring as far as for this year. I think that he'll be an all-star this year for sure. Cat being healthy is definitely crucial, especially with the versatility that he brings. He can put the ball on the floor. He can knock down perimeter shots. So I think that'll be crucial as well. But then on top of that, you got other great assets as well. You got Jaden McDaniels on the team. You got obviously, you got guys like Mike Conley, Naz Reid on the team as well. So I'll be real. Minnesota is really good this year. I think that they can. I might give them. If they're healthy, I might give them 45. I'll give them 45. I mean, if you give OKC 46, I'm gonna give Minnesota at least 45. But I'm definitely excited to see what the future may hold for them. Can the Cat Gobert, front court still work? I don't know, because I mean, obviously with Cat being gone for most of the year, I guess people can give that excuse saying like, oh man, we couldn't really see if it could really work. So maybe if Cat plays at least 50 plus games this year, then we can give a real evaluation on how this front court really fits. So, like I said, I'm gonna give them 45 wins. I think that this would be a big year for Ant, and we may see them in the playoffs again.
Yeah, this is a really good team. I know they got Gobert, and I know they made the big trade, and we laugh about them because we felt like the trade was terrible. But this is a team that's been to the playoffs the last 2 years, and they've gotten, and like Nick said, Cat was out for a substantial amount of time last year with the calf injury. So we never really saw what that dynamic looked like. They never really developed a lot of chemistry. Even in the early games, it still didn't look great. You got a guy like Bruce Brown coming out saying after the on a podcast saying their toughest team was the Timberwolves in the first round, and they beat them in 5. So that says a lot to me. And they didn't have Jaden McDaniels either in that series for Minnesota. He had broke his hand before the playoffs started. He's an X factor for me in that starting lineup. He can space the floor. He's a great defender. They have, if Cat just buys in defensively, this is a really good defensive team. When you got Conley, who's obviously up there, but still fundamentally sound in terms of defensively, coming from those Memphis days, Lionel Hollins and those guys, he probably sees a lot of similarities to that Memphis team that he had a few, like a decade ago, when they had a solid 4 or 5 connection with Zebo and Gasol. Different skill sets, but still dynamic in their own way as a front court. So I see 45 wins for Minnesota. Those guys are healthy, because they won 42 games with Cat missing half the season. So that shows me this is a really good team. Ryan Finch at times, he can get in his own way with clock management and situational basketball at certain situations. I look back to that first round series against the Grizzlies a couple years ago, blowing 20-point leads. They should have easily beat the Grizzlies, having multiple 20-point leads and almost all of those losses that they had, and still weren't able to get it done. He worries me sometimes, but he's still solid. You need some type of stability at head coach for a team like this. And I think with Cat coming back, Gobert doing what he's supposed. Gobert doesn't need to be a scorer in this offense, because you have 2 dynamic scorers that average 25 plus, and Cat and Ant-Man. So it's perfect for him. He doesn't have to be a third scoring option. I think McDaniels will be that. So this is a perfect situation for Gobert. Just do exactly what you've been doing: blocking shots, getting rebounds, setting screens at the highest level. Just keep doing that. And everybody else do their role, man. I see 45 wins for this team, man. I'm a big fan of this team. They just have to be able to do a better job of closing games. That's the thing with them, is closing games. I think as Ant develops, takes that next step, he's obviously going to be the closer for this team. He showed flashes of that in the FIBA World Cup, like Nick said. So it's perfect. The Cat he has to improve. I'm still not a fan of him just standing out on the 3-point line. You guys know I don't like, shooting big, just standing at the 3-point line all day, every day. But considering that they do have, Gobert in the middle, it makes sense. And he is a good shooting big. Like he is the best shooting big in the league. So it's not like it's just some scrub shooting threes out there at 6'11". So yeah, man, I think this is going to be a really good team. This division is going to be a gauntlet. I mean, outside of Portland, I think Portland is going to, they're going to fight, but they're not going to win, right? But those other 4 teams, those are going to be battles. Because all 4 of those teams are Utah. Remember, Utah was like in the playoffs and they just fell out of it. So from Denver to the Jazz, they're going to be in the playoff contention the whole entire year. So this is going to be a phenomenal division. I can't wait to watch it. But for the Timberwolves, man, yeah, I got 45 wins for Minnesota.
Well, the way they're going to be closing out the games is Gobert's going to be setting the high pick and then taking out that 3-point he's been working on, during the FIBA. And he's going to be pulling from 3. And that's how they're going to close that game out, choking and losing. I've got them coming in at 44 wins. So I've got them increasing too, guys. But I got them under you all just by 1.
You got OKC better than Minnesota?
I said that just when I was talking about OKC.
Nick is funny. Yeah, Nick is funny, bro.
But you know what? Minnesota, if
yeah.
We'll see. I am not buying in on the Minnesota team until it's time to buy in. I'll say that. Kat, I'm sorry, man. You're a Kentucky player, but one of these days you might play defense. Keep pulling from 3, man. You'll get on that team that likes that. Let's move on to the reigning.
Michael loves the Kentucky guards, but the bigs, he's always slated the bigs, yo.
Oh,
that's so crazy.
Every Kentucky player. I told him to keep shooting the 3s.
This is funny.
But let's go ahead and move on to the team that, are the team. The defending, there we go, finals champion. Last year's 53-29. Wait a second. Let me back up. I meant to say this. Do you all think that OKC won't have a winning record then?
I didn't say that. I said what I
I
say.
said 43
41
wins. I said 43.
You said 43. So 41, you still have them. You have them breaking even then, Nick.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyways, so we moved on to the Denver Nuggets. They won 53 games last year. They lost less games than Portland won.
Wait, CJ, you said 45 for OKC?
No, I said 43. 45
Okay, 43.
for 45 from Minnesota.
I said 46 for OKC. Listen, I am marking this date and time. So when I'm right, we can go back and play this while you all laugh at me and me be correct on this. I need, you all to take center screen and be like, my name is Nikolai, and I need to apologize to you, Michael, for being right on this.
Facts.
All right, we're going to get into Denver.
Yeah, go ahead. Denver, how many games do you think they win?
Honestly, I might say the same, 53, maybe 54. I'll be real. Jokic and Murray, the best duo in basketball as of right now. I don't think anybody right now is better than them. I mean, we saw it throughout the playoffs. The question is, are they going to come in with that same hunger as they did, throughout this season and, of course, throughout the playoffs? But, I mean, obviously that championship hangover can be real. So if they can come in with the same mentality and just, come in, ball out, play the style of basketball, Jokic have another MVP caliber year, I mean, they'll be just fine. So I'm not really too worried about Denver. I mean, we obviously know how good they are. I know that they lost some pieces like Bruce Brown and Jeff Green, but, you still got other great supporting cast as well. You got Michael Porter Jr., you still got Aaron Gordon. They got a guy like Reggie Jackson who could possibly get more minutes this upcoming season. Who knows? So I think Denver will be just fine. I mean, obviously they're still going to be one of the best teams in the Western Conference, and I'll give them a game higher. I'll give them 54 wins this year.
54.
Yeah.
All right, CJ.
So Denver, man. I think it's gonna be like around 50 53 and 29. Yeah, I could see I could honestly see their record going down, but still being one of the top teams because again, like a lot of these other teams in the West are going to get better, like Houston, like the teams in the division that we're talking about. So I think there will be a couple extra losses in there, but I'm gonna say 50. I'm gonna say 52. I think losing a guy like Bruce Brown is a big loss. I mean, he did a lot of great things for that offense, for that team, defensively as well. Cut into the basket, being in the right spots. This team is excellent. I mean, you got Jokic and Murray. What they've been able to do, they were able to do in the playoffs this year. Well, last year was sensational. Just their continuity, the way they play together. Aaron Gordon, man, Aaron Gordon is like I compare him like to Keenan Allen, like in NFL, like just underrated. Like nobody talks about him, but he always produces. And he has high IQ, man. His IQ is so high, man. Just watching Jokic highlights and watching some Nuggets film over the summer, and just seeing how they play and what made them so successful. His ability to hustle down the court, put himself in good positions to get easy baskets, seal himself off because Jokic is going to give him the basketball, put him in the right position to succeed. Always being at the dunker spot at the right time for those quick little touch passes Jokic has. As soon as he gets double, quick touch pass to Gordon. Gordon is obviously an elite leaper, so nobody's blocking his shot, nobody's blocking his dunks. So smart, bro. And then he developed the shot as well, ability to space the floor, something that he didn't have in Orlando when he first got drafted out of Arizona. Worked on his game, got better. He's easily one of the most underrated players in the league. I mean, maybe he may not be underrated now because he won the championship, but I still feel like he doesn't get enough credit for what he's been able to do since being a Denver Nugget. I'm just a big fan of his game, bro. He's so smart, understanding Jokic, and I think them extending him shows. I think they understand how valuable he is for that franchise and for the future of the squad. Jamal Murray being 100%. I mean, that's really what it was. I mean, the last couple of seasons, they got to the playoffs, got bounced out in the first round each time because they didn't have their guy. They didn't have their second, you could say either primary or ball handler or playmaker, depending on the night, I guess. he's improved as a playmaker. We saw the triple-double that he had in the finals against Miami. Just as a scorer, 3-level scorer, not just settling for threes. He could get to his spots in the mid-range. He's also athletic. Like, he could catch a body on you as well. He may not really necessarily like look like that, but he could get up. He could definitely get up even post ACL injury, man. He's a great player, great 3-level scorer, really good passer, improved on his defense. He's a great 2. He's a great second option, or 1B. You could probably put him 1B, bro. He's just as good as Jokic, man. He's been a great player for the last few years, and I think a lot of people wanted to see how well he was going to play after he had that, after he really caught the eye of a lot of people, or to the casuals in the bubble a few years ago. And now he's just showing that, even, like I said, post ACL, still playing at a high level. I think the 2 X factors for me is Michael Porter Jr., his development. Like, what do you want to be? Like, do you just want to be like a catch and shoot guy? Or do you want to really develop your game and become more of an all-around player and take your game to the next level? Because I think if he does the latter, it just increases the potential of this team for years to come, improving as a defender. We know you're a really good shooter, shot 40% from 3. We know you can do that. We know you can space the floor. But do you just want to be a 6'10" spot-up guy? Or do you want to be someone that can, really shoot? People getting at him about assists and things like that. It doesn't necessarily have to be that, because you have Jokic and Murray, obviously. But you still want to be all around, right? You still want to have times where they can depend on you to make the right read, make the right plays when you're not just shooting the basketball. So I think his development, they gave him like a semi-max. They gave him like a max a couple years ago. So they expect him to continue to improve, and I think he will. I think he will. And Christian Braun.
Forgot about him, man.
Losing,
it's a good one.
You lose someone like Bruce Brown. He comes in. He showed flashes of excellence as well. He played really well in the playoffs. Yeah, in the finals. Yeah, he was big. I think for him, it's just continuing to develop as a shooter. I mean, the last 2 years for him. I mean, you couldn't ask for anything better. Win a national championship, and then you win the NBA Finals the following year. It's like the perfect 2 years of anybody's basketball career, man. He's a really good player, high IQ guy. I think he's gonna be asked a lot to do some of the things that Bruce Brown did last year. He's an undersized guard, but he doesn't play like a guard. He kind of plays bigger than his height, getting offensive rebounds, things like that. So I think they're going to rely on him to, do some of those things and really develop as a player. They lost Jeff Green. That's a big loss. He had some big shots. He's always good for like one tomahawk dunk a game to get the crowd going. He's in Houston now. Good pickup by them. Reggie Jackson. I would like to see him, like Nick said, he's going to probably get some more minutes. He's always been a quality role player, fringe starter type guy. I want to see him, help this team out as well. So they're going to be good. And then, of course, obviously, and then Michael Malone. There were some times where I feel like he should have got let go. I was a little concerned, but, they were able to stay healthy. The team believed in him. The front office stuck with him. I think, there's a lot of times, a lot of periods where these teams, these front offices, these executives, they kind of pull the trigger too early and don't let things develop. And I think what the Nuggets did, they did a great job of, staying the course, understanding, okay, Murray's not here for the first 2 years. We're not going to fire our guy. Let's see how we play when Murray gets back. Let's see how he coaches when Murray's back in the fold. And they want to chip. And they swept the Lakers. They handled Miami. 2 teams that are not easy. That's not easy. That's not an easy thing to do. With 2 teams that were just in the finals over the last 4 years. I got to give a lot of credit to Michael Malone, his ability to coach, his ability to call plays, get guys involved, and of course, you got to go with the big guy, right? The best player in the world, Nikola Jokic. He's been celebrating all off season. I've been seeing him party and do things like that. He's enjoying his moment, which he deserves, man. A lot of people called him overrated, stat stuffer, stat patter, but he showed in the playoffs. He dominated every single series, dominated Phoenix, dominated Minnesota, dominated AD and LeBron, and he kept it up in the finals. Man, he was consistent. It's like that Dirk year, when they beat Miami, he just stayed consistent at a high level the whole way. He's excellent, man. It's just his playmaking. I know you guys said he may not be top 5 yet, top 5 playmaker or Pat, but I think he's already there. I think he's already there, man. You just look at that team, look at how they play. Without him, he does everything. He does everything at that 5 spot. He's a unicorn. He's the definition of a unicorn because you don't see big men pass the ball like that, like he does. He can shoot, but he doesn't stand out there all the time. He plays in the mid range. Great touch around the rim. Underrated offensive rebounder. He improved his defense last year. It's just like he's the best player. He's the best player in the world, bro. No doubt about it. And he's still in his prime. So, with that being said, they're going to be the top of this division, and I think they're going to be the top of the Western Conference again.
I agree with everything you said. I'm not going to go back and repeat most of it. I'm just going to go ahead and give you my score. I'll say this. I think since they won the championship, their mentality is going to be a little bit different going through the regular season, and I don't think their goal is to be first in the regular season. I'm not saying that they're going to try not to be, but I think they're okay resting a little bit more than maybe in the past season. So I actually got them decreasing a little bit, kind of like what you said there once. You don't know about playing a couple of games or here or there that they're worried too much about. I'm going to put them at 50 evenly just for the fact that I think they're still going to be at the top, but they're okay with not pushing the limit on certain things because they're now playing for dynasty instead of championship, and they need to be more load management more than likely. I'm not going to say I agree with it or like it, but I think that's what it'll end up being. So I got them at 50. Does that sound good?
Yeah, it sounds good.
Okay.
Man.
Other than my OKC take, which hurts my feelings, Nick, CJ, both of you all.
No, I wasn't as harsh as Nick. As soon as you said the wins, he started laughing at you.
I heard 46, and I was like, "Wait, hang on a minute. That's close to 50. Like, hang on a minute. Like, what?
Yeah,
That's closer to 50 than 40."
Well, OKC is my Western team to be a dark horse this season. Okay, and I'm not going to go back with it, guys. Tune back into the episode. Let us know what you think if you're just now tuning in. OKC, it's their year. Like they've been right there at the foot of the mountain for so long. They took a big leap last year with SGA making great plays that he did all year. Triple-double candidate, MVP candidate for most of the season, on and off. As far as top 5, I'm not saying number 1 candidate, but now Giddey is in his 20s probably. I mean, their team is still young. Chet's not even stepped foot on a court during a regular season. It's their year. If it's not now, then why? So. With that
now,
being
then
said,
why? What about the future, man? Like, what?
This is to lead to the future. If they don't,
If not now, then why?
I said last year that I don't really think SGA fits their timeline, but that's what kind of goes against what I've said in prior years. Like, if they're not going to win it now, like SGA needs to be traded, in my opinion, because if they're not going to be good right now, SGA is that trade for other picks to go with Chet and Giddey. So if not now, then I think they do need to go back with the future and almost take 1 or 2 more years to get some potential players to move on with. But that's prolonging our episode of what we've already talked about here. So, Nick, CJ, where can everybody find you at? Of course, CJ, I know now you all have started back the hard count. Go ahead, and if you want to start first.
Yes, sir. Yeah, me and my guy, Anthony Conover, we started back the hard count, covering all things NFL. So you can catch us on Tuesday at 9 p.m. Eastern, breaking down, recapping a wild week 3 in the NFL. Also got my gaming channel, CJ versus the World, streaming every day at 5 p.m. Eastern. So you can catch me there on YouTube. Everything's on YouTube, guys. So much more easy for everybody. I know a lot of people don't have Twitch and stuff like that. So I'm on YouTube. CJ versus the World, all one word. Trying to get the 100 subs at 68 right now. So, we're on our way.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. First and foremost, follow us at MSC Hoops, all platforms, X, Instagram. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. make sure to subscribe on Apple, Spotify, wherever you listen to your podcast. Give us 5-star reviews. I think that we are deserving of that. As for myself, follow me on X and Instagram at NickAndreATR. Make sure to follow For the Love of the Game at Love of TGB Ball. 2 episodes are dropping this week, so make sure to stay tuned in with that. And that's about it.
All right, you can find me, of course, with my name here. It has our link tree with MNC Hoops there. It has all of our social media links on that. Of course, podcasts as well on all those, as Nick already alluded to. You can find me personally, Ilma D. Lawson00 on all social media platforms. Also, check out my second show, Cats Chat Pod, where it's everything Kentucky sports. I had some pretty good guests. Last week, we didn't have no guests, and it was very weird. But we're looking to possibly have 2 local boys here in Corbin, Kentucky. It's the twins that just decommitted from Michigan and committed to Kentucky to play next year. We're in talks with trying to get them on the show on Wednesday. It's still in the air, not really 100% sure, but both of them are 4-star recruits that have committed to Kentucky. It'd be nice to have them on there. Also, possibly might have a player that may or may not have 2 interceptions in Kentucky-Vandy game on the show as well. So be checking on that. Be Wednesday at 8:30 p.m. Eastern time on everything Cats Chat Pod with that. But until then, guys, you all have a great day and keep hooping.
Deuces.
Catch you guys next week.